Chapter 1164. Come out. I knew you guys were here. What's the point of hiding? He raised his head and looked outside the hall. Hearing Lin Ray's words, everyone started talking. Lin Ray looked outside, but he couldn't see anything. Whoosh! Just as the crowd was about to turn their heads when they realized that there was no one there, several figures flashed and instantly appeared in the hall. Plop! Greetings, Sect Master. I just sensed a powerful aura in the sect, so I came to check. I didn't expect it to be you, young master. They looked at Lin Ray and didn't continue speaking. They lowered their heads in silence. Since you're here, then come. You should have heard what I said just now. We heard. Well, since that's the case, I'll leave the Assassination Division and Combat Division to you guys. You have to understand that these two divisions are the core of the sect. You have a long way to go, so I'll leave the matter of guarding the sect to you too. Hearing this, Hong Lian and Hong Lian were startled. Then, they turned around and said with determination, "We definitely won't let young master down. We'll definitely guard the sect well. Please rest assured, Sect Master." Well, get up first. Lin Ray knew their cultivation very well. Although Hong Lian had some conflicts in the mysterious Sky Sect, he didn't care too much about it after Hong Lian returned to the sect. Yes, the two got up. Lin Ray ignored them. As for the members of the Assassination Division and Combat Division, they all stood behind their respective leaders and silently watched everything in front of them. Information Division, your leader needs to change. Lin Tian was in charge of the Divine Secrets Pavilion. I believe he'll do a good job as the head of the Information Division. Since that's the case, go work under Lin Tian in the Mystic Peak Palace. You'll be the eyes of the entire sect. In the future, the sect's information will depend on you. Plop! The scene was the same as before. All the members of the information department knelt on the ground and bowed to Lin Ray, then pushed to the side. As for Lin Tian, because his cultivation was not high enough, he did not come. The person who had sensed the powerful aura was none other than the warlord that Lin Ray had summoned. Their cultivation was 3 levels higher than Lin Ray's. As saints at great perfection, they could naturally sense the sudden appearance of the disciples of the Xuanzong sect in the sect. As for Qing Yun, you are now in the sage great perfection realm. Since that is the case, you should be the leader of the heaven, earth, black, and yellow divisions. From today onwards, the 4 divisions of the sect shall be in your hands. I'll leave the law enforcement department to Kuei Gang. In the future, anyone who commits a crime in the sect will be severely punished. The ancients said, if the emperor commits a crime, he will be punished as well. Even if my son is in trouble, he must be a good example and be severely punished. Alchemy, weapon forging, formation, and talisman, these 4 will be handed over to Lin Wanyu, Lin Yin, Kaluan, and Jin Xin Yuan. Their cultivation has already reached the Emperor God realm. I believe it won't be long before they break through to the Exalt realm. Moreover, the 4 of them have received my inheritance, especially Yin When I teach him type of Thunder Flame, he will be the weapon refining department's head. The rest of the people who had not been assigned to the higher-ups would all become outer sect elders and outer sect leaders. As for the disciples, they would be divided according to their cultivation. True disciple, direct disciple, elite disciple, inner sect disciple, outer sect disciple, and odd job disciple. True disciple was at the top, and odd job disciple was at the bottom. Of course, they couldn't always be odd job disciples. If odd job disciples wanted to become outer sect disciples or inner sect disciples, they would have to show their strength. If they were strong enough, they would naturally be able to become the person they wanted to be. The sect had followed Lin Yun from the divine world or when the sect was founded. The sect also needed new blood, and this was the most important thing right now. This part will be handed over to Jian Feng and Jian Wudi. Ying and Bing will be in charge. Remember, it's better to have nothing than to have something substandard. The most important thing for our sect is to have a good character and a good temperament. That's the most important thing. It's better to not accept disciples than to let those with bad temperament and impure nature enter the sect. After the newcomers enter the sect, they will all be in the outer sect. When I return, I will assign them where to go and who you want to take in as a disciple or nurture. Lin Yun's orders rang out in everyone's ears. They were decisive and capable. Lin Yun had never been like this before. Because of this, everyone bowed and didn't question Lin Yun's decision. Seeing that everyone had a place to go, Lin Yun nodded and said, "Since that's the case, everyone can leave. The outer sect can go to the outer sect. As for the disciples whose leaders aren't here, all of you can go to the mountains you should go to. As for your leaders, each of you will send one person and wait until dawn to look for them." "We understand. Okay, you can leave." Waving his hand to dismiss everyone, Red Lotus and the others cupped their hands at Lin Ray and left the hall with their subordinates. In an instant, the palace that was originally filled with a sea of people had once again become an ice-cold palace without the slightest trace of human life. Sitting in his seat and looking at the empty hall, Lin Ray's heart felt empty. He didn't know why, but suddenly, a figure emitting light appeared before him. "Hubby, what's wrong? Are you not happy?" The voice was very gentle. Hearing it, Lin Ray was stunned. He raised his head, and the moment his gaze fell on the figure and face, Lin Ray was stunned. "Ling, that's right. The figure that appeared was none other than Jean Ling, who had died long ago." "Yes, it's me. Hubby, it's me." Jean Ling nodded. Her gaze never left Lin Ray. "No, you can't be Ling. You're already dead. You don't exist anymore. I'm impossible." Looking at Jean Ling's figure, Lin Ray was stunned. However, he immediately came back to his senses and shook his head like a madman. It was very frightening. Sigh. In the hall, other than Lin Ray's voice, there was no other voice. However, just as Lin Ray was like a madman, a sigh sounded in the hall. "You still can't break through that knot in your heart." The sigh disappeared. Then, a man's voice sounded in the hall. "Huff, you're here." Lin Ray didn't raise his head. However, the moment the man's voice sounded, Lin Ray, who was in a madman, instantly woke up. He let out a mouthful of turbid air and tried his best to calm himself down. "Yes, I originally wanted to ask you what position you gave me. I didn't expect to see you like this. Although you didn't experience that great battle back then, and you didn't talk about the person in your heart, this matter isn't your fault. That was just an accident. You don't have to keep feeling guilty. You should know that a dead person can't be resurrected. You shouldn't keep torturing yourself like this. If the one here knows that her death caused you to have such an outcome, she will also hate herself very much." Lin Ray was speechless. Lin Ray didn't respond. The voice of the man in the dark became louder and louder. Finally, a figure appeared in front of Lin Ray. The man was none other than the clone who looked exactly like Lin Ray. Even his voice was somewhat similar. "Sakura? Forget it. I know you won't listen to my advice. However, I still want to say that you shouldn't keep torturing yourself like this. If you continue like this, I'm afraid that you will have an inner demon. At that time, all right, let's not talk about this anymore." Not waiting for Sakura to finish speaking, Linley hurriedly opened his mouth and changed the topic. "What did you come to find me for?" Sakura was speechless. "I said, I'm looking for you to ask what position you've arranged for me. After all, my current cultivation is at least at the great perfection ultimate God realm. Although I haven't broken through to the Saint realm, it won't be long before I can break through soon." Lin Ray understood what Sakura meant. He raised his head and looked at Sakura. Every time he saw him, Lin Ray had a strange feeling in his heart. Your most important task now is to break through to the next level. Therefore, from today onwards, you will be the great elder of the sect. Other than some occasions where you have to attend, you don't have to care about anything else. All right, I'll be the great elder then. Sakura nodded. He wasn't dissatisfied with this position at all. "When will you leave?" The topic was changed instantly. This made Lin Ray a little uncomfortable. However, he still responded, "Soon. I'll leave after I settle some things. With my current cultivation, it's very difficult to master it. Therefore, I have to go to the holy world to gain experience. After all, in such a world, there will definitely be more opportunities and better opportunities than in the divine world." A yearning and expectant expression appeared in Lin Ray's eyes. Sakura, who asked the question, was silent. "All right, if there's nothing else, you can go too. I want to be alone for a while." Lin Ray said, Can you do it?" Nonsense. Rolling his eyes at Sakura, his figure instantly faded and disappeared in front of Sakura. Sigh. I hope nothing bad will happen. He was very worried about Lin Ray. When he thought of how Lin Ray had been brooding over that incident, he was afraid that because of that incident, Lin Ray would develop an inner demon. The moment Lin Ray appeared in the main hall, he arrived at the top of the palace. He could see the entire Xuanzong sect at a glance. Little dragon, let's begin. The more time passes, the more uneasy I feel. Moreover, time is limited. We have to speed up. Damn you. Can't you let me rest first? You were so sad just now. How can you be okay after leaving? Lin Ray ignored the little dragon's attitude and said, In a while, we'll give Yun the thunder flame. After you help him refine it, we'll tighten the barrier around the Xuanzong sect. Once we're done, it'll be time for us to leave. After Lin Ray finished speaking, the little dragon didn't say anything else and chose to remain silent. Lin Ray didn't know if the little dragon was pondering or if it simply didn't want to help right now. Time slowly passed. In the silent night, Lin Ray was alone on the top of the palace, quietly thinking about his plans after leaving the Xuanzong sect. After an unknown amount of time, perhaps 10 or 15 minutes, the little dragon finally opened its mouth. All right, since that's the case, let's go. Okay. Seeing that the little dragon agreed, Lin Ray didn't say anything else. He spread out his consciousness and enveloped part of the palace in the Xuanzong sect. His figure flickered and disappeared from the top of the palace. When he reappeared, he was already in the palace. Huff! Huff! In the palace, Lin Yun was snoring nonstop with a smile on his face. Lin Li felt warm when he saw Lin Yun's expression. This child, he's the same when he sleeps. He stretched out his hand, intending to wake Lin Ray up. Don't talk about others. Aren't you the same when you sleep? Back when we were in the forest mountain range, I had to cover you with a blanket at night. You almost tortured me to death that night. When Lin Ray heard the little dragon's words, his hand froze in the air. He was stunned, but he quickly recovered. However, he couldn't help feeling embarrassed. After all, this matter was too embarrassing. Not to mention, he was too young back then, and he was being chased. Yinner, Yinner. The hand in the air moved once again, gently patting Lin Yun as it softly called out to him. Yes, a soft groan came out of Lin Yun's mouth, and not long after, his originally closed eyes slowly opened. He sleepily looked at Lin Li in front of him and instantly sobered up. F.A. Father, why are you here? He was surprised. He didn't know why his father would come at this time. I'm here to give you something. Just now, I appointed you as the head of the refining department. From today onwards, you will be the head of the refining department. You have received my teachings. Now, I will impart to you a kind of flame. From now on, your refining skills will greatly improve. After communicating with the little dragon, Lin Ray withdrew his soul from his body, and the little dragon instantly took over Lin Ray's body. Father, okay, let's begin. After taking over Lin Li's body, Lin Yun was about to open his mouth to say something when he was interrupted. At this time, Lin Ray's aura had changed. It had become deeper and colder. It was so cold that it made Lin Yun shiver. This coldness came from his soul. What's going on? Why did Father's aura change? Why did it become so deep and cold? Lin Yun was very curious. But before he could react, a hand appeared and patted a few acupoints on his body. Be easy. The sound of thunder could be heard, and a blue light appeared in the palace. Thunder flame, the core existence of the myriad lightning field. It took many years to form and has a spirit. With it, you can quickly improve your refining skills. Next, I will help you refine the thunder flame. But the process will be very painful and even life-threatening. Are you afraid? He stared at Lin Yun, waiting for Ra's answer. But he still had some expectations for Lin Li. He was looking forward to seeing what Lin Li's son would choose. Chapter 1165. Lin Yun looked at the unfamiliar aura of his father. Although he was doubtful, he still nodded his head in agreement. In his heart, this was his father. Father, don't worry. As your son, how could I be afraid? As he spoke, he sat down cross-legged, looking as if he was ready to go. However, this scene made the little dragon's eyes light up. He was very pleased with Lin Yun's performance. This was Lin Rei's son, not afraid at all. Okay, since that's the case, we'll look for a cultivation technique to refine the thunder flame. As for the rest, leave it to me. Although I can't guarantee that you won't feel pain, I can guarantee that you won't lose your life. After refining the thunder flame, your cultivation will reach a new level. Hearing this, Lin Yun closed his eyes and waited for the storm. No. He was waiting for the arrival of the thunder flame. He was looking forward to the scene after refining the thunder flame. Like father, like son. Good. Lin Yun exclaimed in his heart and didn't stay any longer. He had already figured out Lin Yun's nature. Grabbing the thunder flame in his hand, the little dragon swung his hand and aimed it at Lin Yun's back. The speed was very fast, so fast that the thunder flame turned into a streak of light. In the end, the little dragon's hand stuck to Lin Yun's back without leaving a single gap. Lin Yun, who had been waiting for a long time, started searching for something the moment it entered his body. However, the thunder flame was easy to detect. He looked into his body and saw the shape of the thunder flame. It was a thunder flame that was the size of a peach pit. Circles of blue flames surrounded the thunder flame. If one were to feel the thunder flame from the outside, one would not be able to feel the slightest bit of heat. However, if one were to approach it, one would be able to feel the berserk energy coming from the thunder flame. In front of this energy, Lin Yun was like an ant, as small as a mayfly. He was sure that as long as the thunder flame released a trace of energy, it would be able to refine him into dregs. When the thunder flame entered his body, a heart-wrenching pain emerged. It was as if a giant demonic beast had entered his body and started to expand. That kind of pain was indescribable. Cold sweat flowed down his forehead. His face was pale, and the veins on his forehead bulged. His appearance was terrifying and not easy to approach. To put it bluntly, Lin Yun was like an ancient corpse that had just crawled out of hell. Hold on, this is just the beginning. Next, use your cultivation technique and guide the thunder flame's energy into your internal organs. Let the thunder flame refine your internal organs. This way, your physical body will be greatly improved. In the future, when you are in the same generation, you will definitely be able to stand out and become one of the best among your peers. The little dragon's voice entered Lin Yun's ears. Lin Yun's consciousness had been a bit hazy, but when he heard those words, he instantly became alert. That's right. Right now, I'm refining the thunder flame. I must endure it. This is not only what Father wants to see, but also what I want to see. I must not lose face for Father. Once this thought appeared in his mind, his originally blurry posture slowly recovered. He listened to the little dragon's instructions and began to touch the thunder flame. He slowly guided the thunder flame into his 5 viscera and 6 bowels to refine it. Sizzle! The sound of thunder resounded through the entire palace. Even Lin Yun's body could vaguely see a blue light flickering like the stars in the sky. Remember, take it slow. Don't be too hasty. Your cultivation is still too weak, especially your physical body. It's pitifully weak. Back then, when you were at your age, you didn't need anyone's help to refine the thunder flame. Although the process was very painful, what you obtained in the end was something that you might not be able to obtain in your entire life. The little dragon wasn't speaking nonsense. Back then, Lin Rei dared to devour the illusory spirit bloodfire when he was breaking through to the Foundation establishment realm. Who in the entire holy world could compare to such courage? Even now, the thunder flame can't touch me. With the body of a saint, I can break it with force. Boom! The little dragon's words were like a lamp in the dark night, instantly illuminating the path ahead of Lin Yun. Finally, the first strand of energy was completely refined under the little dragon's disdainful encouragement. This time, Lin Yun didn't stop himself. Perhaps he understood his father's soul and wanted to be like him. This time, without the little dragon's help, he separated the 2 strands of thunder flame energy from the thunder flame and began to refine it. After the first time he cried, he was already used to it. But as the energy increased, so did the pain. If he could accomplish this in this illusion, then his future path would be much smoother. He didn't say anything and just quietly watched Lin Yun, waiting for him to succeed. Sure enough, he's not this Lord's son. Once an expert makes a move, it's clear whether he's an expert or not. Such tenacity and decisiveness, he's too much like me. In the system, Lin Rei's soul was standing in front of the screen that the little dragon used to observe Lin Rei. He was very clear about what was happening in the palace. So, can you be a little more shameless? Why do I feel like you're praising yourself? That's right, I'm talking about myself. Why can't I? Lin Rei didn't care about the little dragon's words at all. He was used to the little dragon's harshness. The little dragon was speechless. The two didn't say anything and just quietly watched Lin Yun refine the thunder flame. And under the little dragon's guidance, the thunder flame was completely mobilized by Lin Yun and began to be refined bit by bit. In the endless void, in the deepest part of the myriad lightning field, a black-clothed man was standing in front of the lightning. He looked at the changes in the myriad lightning field with a gloomy expression, as if he was thinking about something. What's going on? Why is my myriad lightning flame so unstable? Logically speaking, the thunder flame shouldn't be doing this, right? The black-clothed man didn't understand. The thunder flame had already been accompanied by him for an unknown period of time. Previously, for some unknown reason, the thunder flame had suddenly disappeared. This originally made him extremely angry, but now that the myriad thunder dominion was in such a state of unrest, this kind of battle made the man somewhat worried. No, impossible. The thunder flame can't be refined by others. It is a sacred artifact of my Thunder Clan. All living beings can only be used by my Thunder Clan. No, it can't be refined. Impossible. The more he spoke, the angrier the man became. It was as if the thunder flame's refinement had touched upon all his taboos. Of course, Lin Yun didn't see this scene, and Lin Rei didn't see it either. But Lin Rei never would have thought that he would offend one of the big shots of the holy world, the Thunder Clan, because of the system. The Thunder Clan was born with a body of lightning. Some kind of restriction seemed to have been placed on them, and they could only pass down one bloodline. So, there weren't many people in the Thunder Clan. Of course, because of this, no one dared to be impudent in front of the Thunder Clan. Although the Thunder Clan was small in number, every member of the Thunder Clan had an extremely powerful cultivation base. In the holy world, they could hold their own. At this moment, Lin Rei didn't know that he was still watching his son refine the thunder flame. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, the first rays of the morning sun shone into the hall. It's daybreak. Looking at the bright sunlight and sky outside, a smile appeared on Lin Rei's face. Yin'er's refining speed is getting faster and faster. A few hours have passed, and with your help, the thunder flame has already been refined by half. If it continues at this speed, oh, that's not right. If it continues at this speed, Lin Tian will be able to refine the thunder flame in the evening. Thinking about it, Lin Rei was very excited. He was looking forward to what benefits the thunder flame would bring to his son after it was refined. TCH, you still have the nerve to say that. If it weren't for you, would I have done such a thankless thing? I don't care. After this matter is over, help me find something that can recover my soul. As for the materials for my physical body, now that we've entered the holy world, I believe you won't be left behind. Lin Rei rolled his eyes and revealed a helpless expression. However, he didn't refuse. After all, this was what he had promised before. Okay, after this matter is over, I'll find what you want. Of course, I'll cook for you as I promised. Not only that, I'll also find the best materials for your physical body. Since I'm going to do it, I'll do it to the best of my ability. Up to you. Although the strongest said this, he was secretly thinking that it was his good fortune to be able to meet someone like Lin Rei. If he had met those scoundrels or people who only thought of themselves as a director, he wouldn't have had anything to do with it. You're stubborn. Even with the little dragon's personality, Lin Rei didn't say anything after that. After all, Lin Rei was in a state where it wasn't suitable for him to speak too much. Then, he fell into a deep sleep. As for Lin Yun's matter, He was very relieved. He believed that with the little dragon around, nothing would happen to Lin Yan. Lin Yan's palace was lively, but compared to the entire Xuanzong sect, Lin Yan's palace was nothing. Because the disciples of the Xuanzong sect had been released by Lin Rui and arranged for their whereabouts, everyone was busy at this moment. Chu Yuan Valley was a place that had yet to be mined. There were countless immortal and divine grade herbs in it. Of course, there were also saint grade herbs, but there weren't many. Even so, these immortal and divine grade treasures were more than enough for them. At their current level, if they wanted to use saint grade herbs to cultivate, the end result would be that they wouldn't be able to withstand the energy contained within the saint grade herbs. In the end, their bodies would explode and they would die. The leaders of the various palaces all sent their disciples into Chu Yuan Valley to search for heavenly and earthly treasures so that they could transplant them into their own palaces and decorate them. Now that the Xuanzong sect had just been established, other than palaces, there were only mountains. What a mortal paradise! Nonsense! Lin Xian was awoken by the commotion outside. She stood up and walked out of the palace. Seeing the disciples of the Xuanzong sect bustling about, her heart was filled with curiosity. She walked up and called out to a Xuanzong sect disciple. "Senior brother, what's wrong with the sect? It wasn't like this yesterday. Why did the sect change so much after I slept for a night? And you guys, why are you asking about this? Why do all of you look so busy?" Questions after questions entered the ears of the man. He wasn't impatient at all. On the contrary, he had a face full of smiles as he looked at Lin Xian, answering all her questions in full detail. This junior sister, the Xuanzong sect, has just been established. Yesterday night, the sect leader redistributed the disciples of the Xuanzong sect. Today, the leaders of the various palaces ordered their disciples to enter Chu Yuan Valley to search for heavenly and earthly treasures to maintain the sect's reputation. What? Yesterday night? Lin Xian was shocked. She stared at the man with a bewildered expression, her expression filled with bewilderment. That's right. Why, you don't know? Lin Xian's reaction attracted the attention of the man. At the start, he thought that Lin Xian was an ordinary disciple. But after hearing her words, he didn't think so anymore. Yesterday, all the disciples of the Xuanzong sect appeared in the Great Hall. They heard Lin Rui's orders clearly. But since that was the case, this girl in front of him clearly didn't know about yesterday's matters. I seem to have seen you somewhere before. The more he stared at Lin Xian, the more he felt that she was familiar. No, I definitely remember it. Since you didn't experience what happened in the branch yesterday, that means that that's right, you are Miss Xian. Abruptly, Lin Xian's identity appeared in the mind of the man. Abruptly, the man hurriedly retreated and clasped his hands in greeting. Disciple Yu Tian pays his respects to Miss Xian. Lin Xian, seeing that she was recognized, Lin Xian felt helpless. Senior Yu Tian, you don't have to do this. Looking at your cultivation base, you should have followed my father step by step. Logically speaking, I should be calling you senior brother. No, miss, you must be joking. You are the daughter of the sect leader, which means you are the junior sect leader. Although what you said makes sense, rules are rules. Lin Xian had no choice but to compromise with Yu Tian's insistence. Fine, you can call me whatever you want. But earlier, you said you wanted to go to Chu Yuan Valley to search for heavenly and earthly treasures? Upon hearing this, Yu Tian had an ominous premonition, but he still nodded his head. That's great. Let's go, I'll go with you. Now that I'm in the holy world, I want to see the scenery. Chu Yuan Valley is the territory of the Xuanzong sect. I believe my father wouldn't blame me for leaving without permission. As she spoke, she looked at Yu Tian with anticipation. Miss, should we ask the sect leader before making a decision? What if the sect leader... that's enough. Let's go. I can't wait any longer. After speaking, without waiting for Yu Tian's reply, her silhouette flickered as she appeared 100 meters away. It seems that I have done something wrong. Although his heart was thumping, he had no choice but to follow. He didn't dare to let anything happen to this little ancestor of his. In the palace where Lin Ray was located, the sleeping Lin Ray didn't know that after he returned, his originally cold daughter had regained the attitude of a little girl. Quick, it's almost done. Hurry up. The little dragon who was in Lin Ray's body had been observing the situation of the thunder flame with his divine sense. Seeing the thunder flame shrinking bit by bit, he felt extremely excited. Chapter 11:66. Within the Chuyuan Valley, a black figure zoomed past. Not long after, several more black figures followed closely behind, chasing after the first black figure. The speed of Little Miss is simply too fast. Is she really only at the Divine Monarch realm? Staring at Lin Xian, who was moving up and down continuously, Yu Tian was stunned as an unsightly expression appeared on his face. TSK, you still have the nerve to say that. It was originally a very good job, but you ended up provoking this great ant. Now look, let's not talk about relaxing. Look, you still have to follow this great ant, afraid that something might happen. Isn't that so? Yu Tian, this mission of yours is indeed a little inappropriate. Tell me, if it wasn't for this great ant, the few of us would still be able to slack off and roast some meat. But look at now, what kind of life are we living? I agree. Lin Xian, who was moving up and down in front, didn't know that Yu Tian and the others were currently grumbling. Naturally, they weren't grumbling about her arrival. They were grumbling about Yu Tian. Seeing his elders say that, he felt helpless. I didn't know what to say for a while. Indeed, there were many good things in this unexplored mountain range. Especially the demonic beasts here. They didn't even exist in the divine world. They mainly wanted to see if there were any differences between the demonic beasts in the sacred world and the divine world. But now, with Lin Xian's arrival, they felt somewhat restrained. Lin Xian was the daughter of Lin Ray, their little miss. Naturally, they had to consider her safety in everything they did. Everyone stared at each other for a moment before choosing to remain silent and continue following behind. Yu Tian and the others were curious as well. They didn't know what was so good about this place. That happy smile on Lin Xian's face caused them to feel helpless. Now that she was happy, it was the other way around. They were all late-stage god emperors, but now they couldn't even catch up to Lin Xian, who was a late-stage divine monarch. This caused them to feel extremely embarrassed. As expected, the spiritual energy in the sacred world is so abundant. Heavenly materials and earthly treasures can be seen everywhere. This isn't available in the divine world. Along the way, she saw treasures everywhere. She really wanted to take all of them. However, thinking that this was her territory, she didn't think about it anymore. Thinking back to when she was in the Heavenly Dragon Mountain in the divine world, she had also gone down there a few times. However, there were no demonic beasts there, and the heavenly treasures were pitifully few. Even if there were, they were all immature heavenly treasures that couldn't be used at all. Time flowed by. Several hours passed by. Maybe because she was tired, Lin Xian, who had been traveling all this way, finally decided to stop. Shoo, just as they stopped, before they could even sit down, a few black silhouettes dashed over, standing before Lin Xian, as they bowed in respect. Your subordinates, Yuda and the rest. Pay our respects to Miss Lin Xian, Lin Xian, Looking at the group of people who were sweating profusely and in a sorry state, he was stunned. What happened to you all? There doesn't seem to be any demonic beasts along the way. Why are you guys like this? However, they didn't encounter any demonic beasts along the way. Lu Kuan-Yu was also a low-level demonic beast, which didn't seem to pose any threat to the 7 of them. But now, one by one, Lin Xian's question caused everyone to perspire profusely, thinking in their hearts, how is this considered encountering demonic beasts? This proves that you are you. Your speed is too fast. We were afraid that you would be injured, so we decided to protect you. Naturally, although they were thinking this in their hearts, they didn't say it out loud. They wiped off their sweat and laughed. Miss must be joking. This can't be a problem with the air in the sacred world. We haven't gotten used to it yet, which is why we are in this state. Oh yeah, Miss Yin, you must be hungry after such a long time. We will go and prepare some food for you. Please wait for us here for a while. Yuta didn't want Lin Xian to continue asking. He changed the topic and signaled to the other 6 with his eyes. Yes, yes. Miss Xian, please wait here for a while. We'll be back soon. Yes, yes. Everyone chimed in as their silhouettes flashed, disappearing from Lin Xian's sight, leaving behind a dumbfounded Lin Xian. Yeah, this Yuta really means what he says. Lin Xian smiled as she shook her head, after which she turned and stared at the stream before her. The stream water was so clear that one could see the bottom. There were no impurities in it, and the water exuded traces of holy, spiritual qi. Lin Xian, who was bathed in the mist, felt extremely comfortable. A bright light flashed in her eyes, and she couldn't stop smiling. Such a rich paradise. It would be great if little brother was here. Even if he didn't want to cultivate, his cultivation would improve with the density of the spiritual qi here. When she thought of her younger brother Lin Shan, who was in the lower world, the smile on her face instantly vanished. Her brows furrowed as sorrow appeared on her face. Forget it. Let's not think about this anymore. I believe that my younger brother will be able to pass my father's test and break through to the Saint realm. With regards to Lin Shan, she was extremely confident. Xiao, just as Lin Xian was lost in her thoughts, the sound of something breaking through the air drifted into her ears. Turning her head, she saw Yuta standing not far away. Little miss, our luck is really good. We saw this 100 spirits fruit tree just a short distance away. After speaking, he hurried forward and passed the 100 spirits fruits in his robes to Lin Xian for her to consume. He didn't waste time either. He picked up a fruit and started munching on it. He didn't care if the fruit was dirty or not. He ate it as though he was a celestial being. Looking at how Yuta was eating, Lin Xian's appetite was stimulated. A smile appeared on her face as she picked up a fruit and imitated Yuta, placing it near her mouth and taking a small bite. Abruptly, the fruit juice exploded as the fragrance of the fruit gushed into her nose. This fruit. Just a small bite caused Lin Xian's eyes to light up. She took another bite as the smile on her face grew even more radiant. If Rual Lin, Lei, or Ying were here, they would definitely be stunned if they saw the smile on his daughter's face. Eat more if it's delicious. There's only one of this 100 spirits fruit tree within a radius of 100 miles. Seeing that Lin Xian was willing to eat, Yuta didn't care about anything else. He took a bite of the fruit and placed all the fruits in his robes into Lin Xian's hands. You're not eating? It's fine. They should be bringing back some food when they return. I'll just eat theirs. Moreover, there's only so much of this 100 spirits fruit. There won't be any left after I finish it. When Lin Xian heard Yuda's words, a strange feeling appeared in her heart. One had to know that the entire Xuanzong sect was filled with young disciples. The oldest among them was only 5,000 years old. The sky gradually darkened. Lin Yun sat cross-legged in the center of the palace. His body was faintly discernible with tears. The paleness on his face had already disappeared. His entire body was covered in a pungent black mucus that stuck to his skin like maggots. Phew, it's finally done. When Xiaolong saw Lin Yun's current situation, a smile appeared on his face, but his face was slightly pale. Thank you, little dragon. Lin Rei's voice resounded in the little dragon's mind. His tone was sincere and apologetic. Che, you brat. After saying that, the little dragon withdrew from Lin Rei's control over his body, and the little dragon returned to the system. Hurry up and return to your body. Okay, I understand. As soon as the little dragon finished speaking, Lin Rei didn't hesitate. He rushed out of the system and returned to his body. Crack, crack, crack. Suddenly, Lin Rei returned to his body and felt a sudden soreness in his heart. He only stretched his body a little, and the bones in his body let out a horrifying sound. I didn't expect that even with my saint physique, I still wouldn't be able to carry the little dragon's soul. Lin Rei understood that his cultivation was still too weak. Although his physical body was at the saint physique level, he still couldn't bear the little dragon's soul. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. You brat, you think too much. How long have you been cultivating, and how long have I been cultivating? You still want to bear my power. Haven't you heard of that saying? If you're beautiful, don't think too highly of yourself. If you have both, then what are you still doing here? You could just transcend this universe and go to a more powerful place to cultivate. Although the little dragon's words were a little straightforward, what he said was the truth. His current cultivation was indeed a little weak, and he hadn't been cultivating for a long time. Okay. You stay here and look after Yuna. He's not bad. He survived that kind of pain and didn't embarrass you. Nonsense. Don't you know whose son he is? The little dragon's words made Lin Ray feel very proud. F***. I gave you some color, and you opened a dye house for me. He rolled his eyes and continued. You should keep an eye on your precious son. I'll give you the Xuanzong sex barrier now. Now, nonsense. If not now, then when? As the saying goes, strike while the iron is hot. I'll hurry up and give you the message. Otherwise, I won't be able to rest well if you keep thinking about me. After saying that, he rushed out of the system and instantly arrived on the roof. He raised his head and looked at the Xuanzong sex system with a bitter expression. If I had known, I wouldn't have agreed to that brat Lin Ray's request. I'm afraid that I'll have to use 30% of my soul power to cover such a huge sect. Thinking about how he would soon lose 30% of his soul power, his heart ached. Forget it. I'll just treat it as if I owed you in my previous life. Thinking about it, he raised his hand and instantly released boundless soul power. He kept forming seals in his hand, and a shocking barrier began to form. Inside the palace, Lin Ray didn't know that setting up the barrier would consume 30% of the little dragon's soul power. If he added the 20% he used to refine the thunder flame, the little dragon's body would become weak again. Lin Ray didn't think too much about this. He was relieved to leave the barrier to the little dragon. He lowered his head and looked at his son with a fatherly smile. Yin'er, father can only help you this much. I'll have to rely on you from now on. He didn't care if his son heard him or not. He raised his hand, and a set of equipment appeared in front of him. If a refiner saw this set of equipment, their jaws would drop to the ground. In the entire holy world, not a single first-rate sect would dare to display such equipment in such an obvious place. Yin, this set of Huiyun's equipment is a gift from Father to you. Continue. Father owes you too much in this life. This set of Huiyun's equipment was made when Father entered the first-grade Saint realm. I specifically searched for Sky Profound Iron to forge it for you. It's also the highest grade. Mid-Saint artifact. I'm afraid that no one in the entire holy world has such equipment. Indeed, there was no one in the entire Saint's world who was as bold as Linley, using a set of mid-grade Saint artifacts right off the bat. Quietly, Xiaolong worked hard to set up a barrier outside, while Linley was inside the palace, chattering away like a woman, his mouth never stopping. As for Lin Yun, when he felt the vigorous energy in his body and the thunder flame in his pill palace, he slowly opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was his father, Lin Ray. Looking at his father, Lin Yun's face was full of smiles. Father, your son didn't let you down. I successfully refined the thunder flame, and my cultivation has also reached the great circle of the ultimate god realm. As he spoke, he couldn't hide the excitement on his face. He stood up and wanted to give Lin Ray the big bear hug. Water driving art. Walala. Before Lin Yun arrived, Lin Ray used the water driving art. A pillar of water appeared out of nowhere and wrapped around Lin Yun. Father, what are you doing? Feeling the confinement around him, Lin Yun felt helpless. He couldn't escape and could only accept the fate of being washed away by the pillar of water. Look at the impurities on your body. It's smelly and disgusting. Don't you think it's not good for you to hug me like this? Hearing that, Lin Yun lowered his head and looked. Sure enough, the black suppression was being washed away by the pillar of water. Lin Yun was sweating because he couldn't guarantee what would happen if he didn't stop it. The water driving art left as quickly as it came. In just 10 breaths, the impurities on Lin Yun's body were washed away. Hurry up and change out of this set of equipment. Put on the equipment on the ground. This is the Fire Cloud set that I have specially refined for you. Every piece of it is at least a mid-grade sacred artifact. Lin Rei pointed at the Huiyun set that he had already prepared. Hiss! When Lin Yun's gaze fell on the Huiyun set on the ground, he focused all his attention on the Huiyun set. Clearly, he liked this set very much. Hurry up. Knowing that Lin Yun liked it, Lin Rei urged. Okay. Regardless of the consequences, Lin Mingya took off the suit on her body and put it on one by one in the blink of an eye. Clothes, trousers, armor, boots, a crown, and a 3-foot-long cicada sword with a Taotai sword hilt. The whole set of fire cloud equipment made people's eyes light up. Not bad at all. You're only wearing it now. If you refine it, it will definitely be very useful to you in the future. Lin Rei walked over to Lin Yun and waved his hand. A chair appeared in front of him, and he placed his hand on Lin Yun's shoulder to make him sit down. A comb had appeared in his hand at some point, and he started combing Lin Yun's hair. Father, this action startled Lin Yun, and he wanted to stop it. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get up. I haven't combed your hair since you were young. This should be your mother's matter, but it's a pity that your mother. Chapter 11:67. The hall was so silent that one could hear a pin drop. No one spoke. Only Lin Rei was combing Lin Yun's hair. His technique was very skillful. It was a pity that he had done this many times in the past. Feeling the feeling coming from his head, although he felt a little uncomfortable when he heard the word mother, it had been 1,000 years. No matter what, the pain of losing a loved one would slowly fade away. Quietly, he enjoyed the feeling that belonged to him and his father. A smile appeared on his face. At this moment, he was very satisfied. Come, give me the tiara. Lin Yun, who was enjoying himself, suddenly came back to his senses when he heard his father's voice. He raised his hand and handed over the tiara. Remember, although this kind of divine artifact is very powerful, it can't be used. The most important thing a cultivator can rely on is his own strength. These external objects can only be used in times of danger. Moreover, with your current cultivation, if you use it, I'm afraid that it won't take long for your spiritual energy to become violent. In the end, you will only be at the mercy of others. Yes, this child understands, Lin Rei said. He listened very seriously. Moreover, he had always done this. As the former sect master of Xuanzong sect, he even had the principle of forging iron with his own strength. Well, that's good. He put on the tiara. With a thought, a jade hairpin with a dragon's head appeared in his hand. He raised his hand and put it through the tiara. After doing all this, Lin Rei came in front of Lin Yun. Looking at his son who was now wearing the Huiyun suit, he felt a sense of relief. Although Lin Yun was only a peak ultimate god now, with the Huiyun suit, not to mention killing a Dao fruit saint. Even if the Dao fruit saint wanted to keep Lin Yun, it would be wishful thinking. Looking at him, Lin Li couldn't help but nod, the smile on his face never disappearing. However, he really is not bad. Such a handsome young man. I wonder if the holy daughters of the sacred lands of the sacred realm would go crazy over him. Father, looking at his father who was so unreliable, Lin Yun couldn't help but glance at him and then didn't say anything. It was fine if the sentence was said here, but if it was spread outside, it wouldn't be good. When that time came, whether or not he would kneel on the washboard when he returned home would be a problem. Lin Rei naturally understood Lin Yun's worries. He nodded and teased, I understand. I know you're henpecked, but I didn't expect that. Tisk tisk, Dad, I'm not talking to you anymore. She stood up and did not want to drag this on any longer. Now that she had lost all her face, she rushed out of the hall with a red face. I don't think I said anything, right? She looked at the entrance of the hall, speechlessly. Then, she shook her head and ignored him. Now that the matter of Lei Yin had been resolved, the only thing left was to set up the barrier. And this matter had the help of the little dragon. It's time to make some arrangements. Thinking that he was about to leave soon and that the sect had just started, there were still many things that he hadn't told him. He stood up, and his figure faded away, disappearing from the hall. In the main hall of Chu Yuan Valley, Lin Rei's figure appeared. He sat on the throne in the hall and looked at the people who had been waiting for him for a long time. I called all of you here to remind you that when I'm not around, Yin will still be in charge of the sex matters. As for cultivation, everyone has their own duties. Now that the sect has set up a barrier, if any experts come to visit, there's no need to pay attention to them. Just keep them outside. Sect Master, you're leaving again? Lin Yun and the others couldn't accept Lin Rei's decision. It was too sudden, and they couldn't react to Lin Rei's decision. Now that they had just arrived in the holy world, they wanted to wait for the sect to stabilize before leaving. But now, Father, how long do you plan to leave this time? We've just arrived in the holy world, and the outside world isn't as good as the divine world. Why don't we wait until our cultivation is stronger before leaving? This way, I've already decided on this matter. I've already decided before entering the holy world. Understand what you're thinking. You're afraid that something might happen to me. However, my cultivation has already reached the saint realm. Isn't it easy for me to break through? But Lin Yin still wanted to say something, but just as he opened his mouth, Lin Rei stopped him. All right, it's settled then. At this moment, no one said anything. No one could change Lin Rei's decision. This was something they knew very well. This time, Hong Lian and Ming Ming, the two of you will choose 10 people from each of your troops. When I leave, they will follow beside me and help me deal with any problems. As for Xian as he spoke, Lin Rei's gaze swept across the crowd. But what made Lin Rei stunned was that there was no trace of Lin Xian. Where did Xian go? Everyone looked at each other with confusion on their faces. No one knew where Xian went. The expressions of the people below were all seen by Lin Rei. Seeing how lost they were, Lin Rei knew that Xian might have gone missing. Go, search for her. Now that Xian has just entered the holy world, she's unfamiliar with this place. Nothing must happen to her. As he spoke, he turned his gaze to Hong Lian and Ming Ming. Mobilize everyone in your troops to search for her. You must find her. As the sound of his voice faded, everyone understood that this matter was serious. They all bowed and retreated. With a cold expression, they ordered their subordinates to search the entire Chu Yuan Valley. Lin Xian, who was in the Chu Yuan Valley, was completely unaware of the actions of the Xuanzong sect. Because she left without permission, she had stirred up a lot of trouble. Within the Chu Yuan Valley, Lin Xian, who was sitting beside a stream, had a look of enjoyment on her face. She was enjoying the feeling of the abundant spiritual qi in the holy world. Tian, look at the time. Young Miss has already been out for so long. If she doesn't return and something happens to her, will we be able to bear the consequences? That's right, Tian. Look at young Mississippi. She doesn't seem to want to return. If the sect lord finds out that we secretly brought young Miss out, you all should know how powerful the disciplinary department is. As long as we enter the disciplinary department, it would be strange if we don't lose a layer of skin. That's right, Tian. Lin Xian, I didn't know that Tian and the rest were all starting to feel anxious. They couldn't help but tremble when they thought of how powerful the disciplinary department was. AI, how could he not know the worries of everyone? As he mused, he turned and stared at Lin Xian. He didn't care if he would disturb her enjoyment as he bowed. Miss, we have been out for such a long time. Shouldn't we return now? You didn't inform the sect lord when you came out. If the sect lord couldn't find you, then I got it. Not waiting for Tian to finish his words, Lin Xian's voice drifted into his ears. Let's go. We've been out for so long, we've played enough. After speaking, she ignored Tian and the rest and turned back. Although there was no expression on her face, she felt somewhat unhappy in her heart. After all, they had just exited and now they had to return. In the airspace above Chu Yuan Valley, Lin Rei stood in the air, releasing his divine sense and enveloping the entire valley. His countenance was extremely heavy. It was just that he didn't expect that his daughter would disappear without a trace. This caused him to be somewhat worried. This place couldn't be compared to the divine world. Here, any random demonic beast would be able to abduct Lin Xian, who was at the divine monarch realm. That is, within his divine sense, just as Lin Rei was worrying, Lin Xian's aura appeared. Chu Yuan Valley? Why did Xian go there? Feeling his daughter's aura appearing in Chu Yuan Valley, bewilderment appeared in his heart. And not long after, 7 auras appeared behind Lin Xian. Abruptly, Lin Rei's countenance changed as his silhouette flickered, and he sped towards the location of Xian Er's aura. His speed was extremely fast, and in addition to the fact that Chu Yuan Valley was a place where he could unleash his full Saint Realm cultivation, he soon arrived in the airspace above Lin Xian. Lowering his head, he saw Lin Xian flying at high speed. Behind her, there were 7 disciples clad in the robes of the Xuanzong sect following behind her. Their cultivation bases were all at the God Emperor realm. This little fellow. This daddy was worried for nothing. So it turns out that he came out to play. After speaking, he cast an unhappy glance at Lin Xian. He didn't disturb her and turned to leave, returning to the sect. Everyone come back. Xian has been found. The instant he stepped into the sect, Lin Rei transmitted his voice to the various department heads. The Xuanzong sect that was originally in a state of chaos abruptly vanished the instant they received the news transmitted by Lin Rei. What replaced it was silence. After returning to the main peak, Lin Rei's countenance was much better. He sat on his seat and waited for the return of everyone. Not long after, Lin Yun's silhouette appeared in the main hall, followed by Ying and the rest. An instant later, everyone returned to their original positions. All right, it was a false alarm. Maybe that little lass felt that the sect was too boring, so she went to Chu Yuan Valley to take a look. Since that's the case, let's continue. Father, how long will you be gone this time around? As the sound of Lin Rei's voice faded, Lin Yun's voice followed closely behind. His expression was filled with anticipation. Not only him, even Ying and the rest had the same expression on their faces. I'm not sure. After all, no one can be certain about things like tempering. But don't worry, if the sect is the same, feel free to contact me anytime. Everyone was silent and did not speak. This time, I will leave with Xian. The rest of you will stay here and perform your duties. Take good care of the sect. The next time I return, the sect will change greatly. Husband, Xian cultivation. Ying was unwilling. He was very clear about Xian cultivation. If she left with Lin Rei, wouldn't it be dangerous? Moreover, she would become a burden to Lin Rei. That's right, husband. Bing understood the gravity of the situation and immediately echoed. Xian cultivation is too weak. If she doesn't want to go, then let Kuei Gang or Ming go. Xian can't do it. Father, I also feel that little sister. One by one, they voiced their opposition. They were very clear about Xian cultivation. They did not want Xian to be a burden to Lin Rei if something happened to her. Looking at everyone's opposition, Lin Rei was not angry. Instead, he smiled. How could he not know what they were thinking? They were just worried. Although he did not want to explain, he still said, "You don't have to worry. The reason why I brought Xian with me is because of the side effects of the profound ice heavenly technique in her body. Although I gave Xian a pill to restrain the profound ice heavenly technique, it will only last for 3 years. If we want to completely cure her, we have to find a way to cure her within 3 years. As for me, after the formation of the school was completed, I almost left. Within 3 years, I definitely won't be able to return." Thus, Lindley didn't continue. He believed that even if he didn't say anything, these people below him would understand what he meant. At this moment, the voices of opposition from below had completely disappeared. Lindley didn't linger on this topic for long. Manage your disciples well while I'm away. Have them cultivate well and strive to reach the saint realm within 1,000 years. Hong Lian and Ming Ming, the two of you have an important mission. His gaze fell on Hong Lian and Ming Ming. Please instruct us, Sect Master. The two bowed. I'll do the same. With the sect as the starting point, I'll start a punitive expedition against the surrounding sections. Anyone who disagrees will be killed. Of course, I'll only go against those sects that I can defeat. As for those that I can't defeat, I'll only go after I'm stronger. I'll also do the same. There won't be any other sects within 1,000,000 miles of me for 100 years. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. This was the beginning of a punitive expedition in the sacred world. Within 100 years, 1,000,000 miles was a terrifying number. Even in the divine world, there was no one like this. Plop, Hong Lian, Ming, order. Although everyone was doubtful, Hong Lian and Ming Ming were very decisive. They patted their chests and promised. Okay, then it'll depend on your lessons. During the punitive expedition, all the disciples in the sect will be at your disposal. As for the disciples of the destroyed sects, if any of them surrender, they'll be placed in the outer sect. I'll make a decision when I return. Just like this, Lin Ray issued one order after another. Everyone was shocked because the current Lin Ray was completely different from when he was in the divine world. In the divine world, he didn't have the slightest intention of punitive expedition, but now, of course, this was just a thought in their hearts. As for the surface, they were respectful and didn't have the slightest doubt. Time passed under Lin Ray's orders. When night fell, everyone dispersed except for Lin Yun, Ying, and Bing. After everyone dispersed, Lin Yun went up to Lin Ray and couldn't help but ask, "Father, why do you want to go on a punitive expedition? Isn't it good to live somewhere else? When you were in the divine world, you didn't do this. Why do you do this in a high-level place like the sacred world?" It wasn't just Lin Yun. When Ying and Bing heard this, they also agreed. "That's right, husband. The sacred world isn't like the divine world. We can do whatever we want in the divine world, but the forces in the sacred world are complicated. Moreover, we're not familiar with this place. If we go on a punitive expedition, I'm afraid it'll arouse the dissatisfaction of the high-level sections." "Yes, husband." The three of them were so agitated that Lin Ray was a little unaccustomed. "You don't have to worry. I've already made arrangements for this matter. Now, the punitive expedition to the sacred world is a must. Moreover, time is of the essence. You have to break through quickly. To forge iron, you have to be strong. You should understand this principle. If you only want to live somewhere else, you'll be eliminated in this world full of sections." Chapter 1168. After Lin Ray left, Lin Yun remained in the Great Hall, staring at the entrance with a dazed expression. At this moment, he was the only one left in the Great Hall. The others had all left, and his mind was filled with Lin Ray's teachings. To those who didn't like to fight for fame and fortune and instead focused on training, this was a good thing. But Linley was different. He had the system and the mission given by the system. He was different. If he didn't work hard, who would protect his family? Who would protect his wife and children? Especially in the sacred world, a place where people were eaten without spitting out the bones. The slightest bit of carelessness would only result in death. The path of the strong was filled with millions of corpses and rivers of blood. The survival of the fittest and the elimination of the fittest. This was a logic that they should have understood the moment they became cultivators. After leaving the Great Hall, Lin Yun instructed everything. Now, he only needed to wait for the enchantment to be completed before he led the disciples out of the sect, heading towards the sacred world. Rumble, rumble. Now, in front of the Great Hall on the main peak, when he raised his head and stared at the location of the little dragon, the sound of thunder suddenly rang out. The originally pitch-black sky was now even darker, and amidst the thunder and lightning, a screen of light could be seen spreading out with a speed visible to the naked eye. With the little dragon as the focal point, it spread out in all directions, enveloping the entire sect. When this scene landed in the eyes of Lin Ray, a hint of interest appeared in his eyes. This fellow, the enchantment was completed so quickly. Looking at the enchantment above his head, Lin Ray didn't doubt its might. Now that the enchantment had yet to completely envelop the entire sect, the pressure of the enchantment was already surging. If it completely enveloped the entire sect, even if he attacked with his full strength, he wouldn't be able to shake it in the slightest. This is good. I can leave this place with peace of mind. Thinking that there was no longer any danger here, he felt relieved and left. Father, Father, all of a sudden, a clear voice like that of an oriole drifted over from afar. entering into Lin Rei's ears. Abruptly, Lin Rei regained his senses and turned his head, only to see Lin Xian, dressed in white, running over from afar with an excited expression on her face. From her current appearance, Lin Rei didn't need to think to know that she must have heard of his decision and returned. She ran to Lin Rei and stood in front of him. She looked at her father excitedly and said, "Father, I just heard from Uncle Ming that you will take me with you when you leave this time. Is it true?" Lin Rei, looking at the smile on her daughter's face, Jimei nodded. "Yes, I'm taking you away this time." Haven't you always wanted to go out and see the outside world? Moreover, the side effects of your dark ice heavenly force have not been completely cured. We must find a solution within 3 years, so you must leave with me. You, raising his head, Lin Rei's voice came to an abrupt halt. His entire body froze in place, his face filled with helplessness. In front of him, Lin Xian was still listening to his words. She was already extremely excited. Lin Rei estimated that other than the sentence about being able to leave the sect, everything else after that had entered her ears. Looking at his excited daughter, Lin Rei stretched out his hand and patted her little head. "Hurry up and pack up. We'll be leaving soon." "We are leaving today." Lin Xian was taken aback. "Of course, what do you think?" After speaking, he ignored Lin Xian and turned towards the direction of the little dragon. Looking at the formation of the enchantment in the sky, it should be completed in a short period of time. Father. She regained her senses from the shock and wanted to say something, but she discovered that her father's silhouette was nowhere to be seen. "Forget it. Let's talk about it later when we leave." Thinking that they were about to leave, Lin Xian turned and walked towards the palace not far away. The Wind Whisperer Palace was where shadow and ice resided, and the place Lin Xian wanted to head to was where shadow resided. Now that she was about to leave the sect, she had to go and bid farewell to her mother. At the location where the little dragon was, Lin Rei's figure appeared beside the little dragon. He didn't disturb the little dragon and instead sat down at the side, quietly looking at the little dragon. The little dragon sensed Lin Rei's arrival, but it didn't pay attention to him. At this moment, it was at the final juncture of the enchantment. If it didn't complete the enchantment in one go, it was afraid that there would be flaws in the enchantment. And at this moment, after setting up the enchantment for Lin Yun, only 50% of its soul force was left. The originally solid soul force was now as ethereal as a feather. Regarding this, Lin Rei felt extremely guilty in his heart. Time passed by bit. The enchantment in the sky was completed bit by bit. As expected, under Lin Rei's estimation, the enchantment was finally completed. In the sky, the rumbling of thunder dissipated the moment the enchantment was completed. Careful! The instant the enchantment was completed, the little dragon's body trembled violently and fell backwards. Fortunately, Lin Rei was watching from the side. The instant the little dragon fell backwards, Lin Rei went up to support it. He looked at the little dragon with concern. At this moment, the little dragon's body was even more ethereal. It was as though a light breeze could blow the little dragon away. I'm fine." She patted Lin Rei's hand, indicating for him to let go of her. However, Lin Rei didn't seem to see the little dragon's signal. His hand was still holding onto the little dragon, and the concern on his face was even more intense. The guilt on his face also increased. He didn't expect that setting up the enchantment would consume so much soul force. I'm really fine. It's just that I overused my soul force. When you find a heavenly treasure that can replenish my soul force for me to consume, I will recover." After saying that, the little dragon sat down with the help of Lin Rei. Its originally pale face was slightly better. Looking at the little dragon's state, Lin Rei wanted to say something but stopped. "What do you want to say?" "Words of thanks. You have to understand that the most important thing you should do now is to go out and gain experience. Let the future increase your cultivation and complete the mission given to you by the system." After saying that, the words paused and then continued, I don't want to one day be erased by the system because you didn't complete the mission. At that time, I will go back to sleep and wait for the next Hongmeng sovereign body. Lin Ray. Lin Ray didn't respond to the little dragon's words, but these words were deeply engraved in Lin Ray's mind. The two of them fell silent, and the space became quiet. The two of them looked at each other, and Lin Ray felt goosebumps all over his body. That, perhaps because it was uncomfortable to be looked at, the little dragon finally couldn't hold back and opened its mouth to break the awkward situation. Now, I've done what you said. As for the first condition, I will give it to you within 3 years. You want to leave now? Have you thought about where to go? Hearing the little dragon's question, Lin Ray turned his head and looked into the distance. After a moment of silence, he said, I'm not sure. Let's take it one step at a time. Anyway, there's still a long time. I don't believe that it's impossible to reach the height that the system wants in 10,000 years. Of course, now that I've just arrived in the holy world, if I want to raise the sect to the height that the system wants, treasures and money are indispensable. With that said, Lin Ray had a plan in his mind. As one of the professions, Lin Ray had money and wealth at his fingertips. But the key point was that he had to feed an entire sect right now. If he wanted them to become powerful beings, he would have to expend a lot of resources. Okay, you do as you see fit. I don't care about the specifics. Anyway, after I help you find a way to cure the dark ice heaven strength within 3 years, I will choose to sleep. The road ahead is up to you. Remember, the waters in the holy world are very deep. If you want to establish a foothold here, you need to pay a lot more than in the God realm. After saying that, the illusory spirit became even more illusory. Okay, you do as you see fit. I have to go back and recover. Don't disturb me for the next few days. Hey, the voice stopped abruptly, as though it wanted to say something. But the little dragon didn't give Lin Ray the time to speak. As the sound of its voice faded, it entered the system in a flash. F***K. This action of the little dragon caused Lin Ray to feel deflated. But he didn't say anything. After all, the little dragon had done enough for him. He didn't say anything and quietly waited for the others to arrive before leaving the Xuanzong sect. In front of the Xian sect's mountain gate, there was a hubbub of voices. Linley appeared in front of the mountain gate, looking at Shadow and the others. After giving them a few instructions, he then turned to look at the 20 disciples who had left with him. Looking at the 20 disciples, all of them were at the grand perfection God Emperor realm. They were just a step away from breaking through to the exalted realm. Not bad, I'll choose you guys. Many thanks for the sect leader's praise. The 20 disciples clasped their hands and bowed, their faces filled with smiles. Ning Fan nodded calmly. His gaze fell on Lin Xian, who was in Ying's embrace as a doting look flashed through his eyes. Enough, Xian, we should leave now. Xian, hearing that her daughter was about to leave, Ying felt extremely reluctant. If she had a choice, she would be willing to follow her husband and daughter. Unfortunately, this was already a foregone conclusion. There was no turning back. Just like this, under the reluctant gazes of the crowd, Lin Ray and the others left Chu Yuan Valley and walked towards the sacred world they were looking forward to. Let's go. After staying here for a period of time, we should prepare to leave as well. It's about time to settle the matters my husband entrusted to us. Ying watched as the figures of Lin Ray and the others disappeared from her sight. She then turned and spoke to Bing. And that's right. It's about time to take action. The two of them exchanged glances. After deciding on everything, they turned and walked into the Xuanzong sect. Lin Ray's departure didn't affect the normal operations of the Xuanzong sect. Just like what Lin Ray had instructed before he left, he became the acting sect leader of the Xuanzong sect once again. Time passed quickly, like a white steed flashing by. The sacred world didn't stop operations because of the Xuanzong sect. Also, the appearance of the Xuanzong sect didn't attract the attention of other powers. Although the Yellow region was the most barren place in the entire sacred world, it was still 100 times better than the divine world. In the central region of the Yellow region, this place was under the jurisdiction of an emperor dynasty named the Azure Mystic Emperor Dynasty. This place was also the territory of the 10,000 Treasure Sect. The 10,000 Treasure Sect was one of the peak powers in the Yellow region, and the Azure Mystic Emperor dynasty was only on par with the 10,000 Treasure Sect. In the Yellow region, there were countless sects with first grade, second grade, and third grade ones. The 10,000 Treasure Sect was an existence that surpassed first grade sections. In the central region of the Yellow region, in the capital of the Azure Mystic Emperor dynasty, the Xianyuan Empire. This place was the hub of the Azure Mystic Emperor dynasty. In this place, there were all sorts of aristocratic clans and sections. Outside the Xianyuan Empire, a man and a woman of the same age walked side by side to the entrance of the Xianyuan Empire. Looking at the city of the sacred world, the man felt a myriad of emotions in his heart. Father, this Xianyuan Empire is indeed much bigger compared to the divine world. Not only that, I feel that there's a powerful formation in the city. It's just that. As she spoke until here, Lin Xian hesitated. It's just that? What? Looking at his daughter, Lin Rei's interest was piqued. The two of them were none other than Lin Rei and his daughter, Lin Xian, who had just left the Azure Mystic Emperor dynasty. As for the 20 members of the Combat Division and Slaughter Division she brought with her, they were now disguised as unaffiliated cultivators and merchants, spreading out into the Xianyuan Empire. She inclined her head and stared at her father. The hesitation in her eyes had vanished and was replaced by determination. Although your daughter can feel that there's a formation in the Xianyuan Empire, it's extremely vague. For a moment, your daughter also felt a little strange. Could it be that your daughter is mistaken? Upon hearing this, Lin Rei smiled, his face filled with gratification. Indeed, what she said was correct. However, not everyone would be able to sense that there was a formation in the Xianyuan Empire. Earlier, he had also sensed that there was indeed a formation in the Xianyuan Empire. However, the grade of this formation was extremely high. Even with his current strength, it would be difficult for him to break through a formation of this grade. Xian, there's indeed a formation here. However, it's not something you can comprehend with your current strength. After speaking, his gaze landed on the city walls as he continued. It's already been over a year since we left the Xuanzong sect. During this period of time, you should have seen and heard many things. However, the one we encountered today was the strongest. However, if you want to break through a formation of this grade, as long as you follow what your father imparted to you, I believe that it won't take long for you to break through this formation. Oi, are the two of you going or not? Can't you make way for us? Why are you standing in the middle of the road? Aren't you immoral? A voice that didn't fit and drifted over from behind. MHM. Turning their heads, the gazes of everyone in the surroundings were all focused on the two of them, staring at them as though they were looking at idiots. Father, let's hurry up and let them pass. Understanding that those words were directed at the two of them, Lin Xian had an awkward expression on her face as she hurriedly pulled Lin Rei to the side. Country bumpkins. From within a luxurious carriage, the voice of the man from before rang out once more. After which, the carriage galloped into the depths of the Xianyuan Empire. Staring at the departing carriage, a killing intent flashed in Lin Rei's eyes. He deeply engraved the carriage and that voice into his mind. As the saying goes, it's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Now that he had just entered the Xianyuan Empire and was unfamiliar with this place, he might still be able to act if he was alone. But now that he had someone by his side, he could only endure. As long as his strength matured, he didn't mind returning the humiliation he suffered today back to the other party in double. Chapter 1169. Let's go. She understood the unhappiness in her father's heart. Even if it was her, she also felt extremely uncomfortable in her heart. However, when she thought of the other party's identity and the fact that she was in the Azure Mystic Empire, she could only endure it. She didn't want to dwell on this matter for too long. Hence, she changed the topic and pulled on her father's arm as they walked into the city. Staring at his daughter, Lin Rei understood what she was thinking, after which he didn't think too much about it. As for the matter of revenge, he would think about it in the future. With regard to the Azure Mystic Empire, Lin Ray was somewhat curious. On the way here, he had heard many things about the Azure Mystic Empire. This was especially so when he first stepped into the Azure Mystic Empire. The guards at the entrance didn't charge him money or bullied him because of their master's influence. Just this point alone was enough to make him view the Azure Mystic Empire in a new light. What do they mean by leaving the countryside and entering the city? He was like a country bumpkin. The instant he stepped into the city, he suddenly felt that the words of those who called him a country bumpkin earlier were somewhat true. Flourishing, prosperous, a boiling cauldron of voices, hawking of goods, people coming and going, endless streams of horses and carriages. Within the Xianyuan imperial capital, Linley could be said to have experienced what true prosperity was. Right now, it was already so flourishing in the daytime. Just the number of people coming and going was sufficient to be comparable to all the cities he had seen before. Dad, this place, Koff, is a little flourishing, huh? Lin Xian stared blankly at the bustling scene before her as she involuntarily spoke. Lin Ray, turning his head, he saw that his daughter's attention was completely focused on the anti-skid ground in front of her. Her eyes were filled with anticipation and yearning. Sigh. Staring at everything before him, Lin Ray bitterly smiled and shook his head. As a cultivator, these were all appearances. If one couldn't see through them, they would only be immersed in these sights. It was impossible for them to reach a better state. Wake up. He didn't want to see his daughter being corroded by this disgusting scene. He silently circulated his cultivation and transmitted his voice to Lin Xian, reminding her. Wang. She was immersed in the sights before her, unable to extricate herself. Suddenly, a thunderous sound rang out beside her ears, causing her to regain her senses. Little girl, cultivate well. If you succeed in your cultivation, these illusory things will be at your fingertips. Yes, I understand, father. Lin Xian nodded her head in shame, after which she didn't return to her normal self like before. He didn't say anything else. Speaking of which, he was still too young. He walked forward. Heavenly Star Powder, 50 Saint Spirit Crystals. You won't find a shop like this if you miss this village. Come take a look. 9 Cloud Sword, low-grade divine artifact. 500 Saint Spirit Crystals, great discount. Spirit Elemental Grass. It's a Saint-grade spiritual grass. Come and take a look. Banluo Pill, a grade 6 divine grade medicinal pill. The voices of people hawking there whereas entered Lin Ray's ears. Listening to the things they were hawking, Lin Ray bitterly smiled in his heart. Even if these things were given to him for free, he would still have to consider whether or not he wanted them. Although the Semiluo pill could help a cultivator clear their mind, the side effects were terrifying. If it was taken over a long period of time, it was likely that the cultivator would completely lose control after the birth of an inner demon. The cultivator would then be controlled by the inner demon and become a killing machine. As for the spirit elemental grass, it was even more exaggerated. What F** King grade 1 Saint grade spiritual grass? Spirit elemental grass, to put it bluntly, was a grade 4 divine grade spiritual grass. It might be useful to divine monarchs, but for those above the divine monarch realm, it was useless to god emperors and divinities. As for the other items, Lin Ray didn't care about them at all. He didn't expect that in the Xianyuan Emperor capital, there would be so many scammers who weren't arrested. This was truly a marvelous sight. Looking at these people selling fake goods, Lin Ray wanted nothing more than to rush up and expose them one by one. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. They were just trying to make a living. Being able to survive in this world where the strong preyed on the weak was also one of their capabilities. Naturally, these people were just small peddlers who set up their stalls. It was different for those peddlers in the depths of the city. The things in their hands were truly good. However, the good things in the eyes of others were only SOSO to him. After walking for an unknown period of time, he only knew that the morning sun had already turned into sunset. And because of this, Lin Ray's understanding of the Xianyuan Emperor capital was extremely shallow. In fact, he hadn't even entered the true Xianyuan Emperor capital. The Xianyuan Emperor capital was divided into inner and outer cities. Earlier, they had only toured a small portion of the outer city. Sigh. To think that just the outer city of the Xianyuan Emperor capital would take an entire day. Staring at the inner city walls, Lin Rei had the urge to grab the designer of the city and give him a good beating. Such a good city was actually turned into such a state by you, causing his system to spin randomly. Only in the evening did he realize that after walking around for half a day, he only found out that the items in the outer city were worthless. Not only Lin Rei, Lin Xian's mood was also extremely bad. However, looking at the inner city walls, she didn't grumble so much. Women were born with an innate ability to walk and shop. This was something that men couldn't understand. Looking at the inner city walls, a hint of excitement flashed through her eyes. After which, she swung Lin Rei's arm and said in a spoiled manner, "Dad, let's go in quickly. The outer city is already so prosperous. What about the inner city? I really want to see, Dad." As the saying goes, 1 cry, 2 throw a tantrum, 3 threaten to hang oneself. But when it came to Lin Xian, there was only one way to deal with Lin Rei, and that was to act coquettishly. As long as she acted coquettishly, Lin Rei would have a headache. In the end, he could only nod his head in agreement. With regard to this daughter of his, he also had a headache. But when he thought of how much his daughter had changed compared to when he first met her, these headaches didn't matter much. Turning his head, he looked at his excited daughter and pinched her finger. "Do you really want to go in?" Yes, I want to." Lin Rei didn't have the chance. He glanced at the inner city gates and nodded. "All right, since you like it, let's go in. In the future, we might have to stay here for a long period of time. Since you want to go in, let's go in and see how much more prosperous the inner city is compared to the outer city." Oh yeah. Upon hearing her father's agreement, Lin Xian couldn't help but jump up in joy. Her face was filled with excitement. Without saying anything else, she pulled Lin Rei along and rushed into the inner city. This time around, there was still no one watching them. With regards to this, Lin Rei's favorable impression of the Azure Mystic Emperor Empire increased once again. In the Xianyuan Empire, there was a clear contrast between the inner city and the outer city. The outer city was filled with merchants, but things were different in the inner city. The inner city was filled with the headquarters of various sects and holy grounds. For example, the 10,000 Treasure Sect, the Alchemist Guild, the Formation Guild, the Talisman Guild, and the Weaponsmith Guild. These were all powers that no one dared to touch. Even the princes of the imperial capital had to follow their rules when they entered the shops of these powers. Chapter 1170. The inner city was much more desolate compared to the outer city. If the outer city was a market, the inner city would be filled with a few specialty shops. Desolate yet luxurious. The difference in spiritual chi between the inner city and outer city was also very obvious. The spiritual chi in the inner city was at least 4 to 5 times denser than the outer city. This was especially so for the pavilions in the inner city. They were simply many times more luxurious compared to the buildings in the outer city. Naturally, there were also many people on the streets. It was just that the noise in the outer city wasn't as chaotic. Not bad. Such an environment caused Lin Rei's mood to improve greatly. If it was like the outer city, he wouldn't be able to endure it. The Alchemy Guild. Lifting his head, he saw a guild in the distance. The words Alchemy Guild were extremely eye-catching. Even if Lin Rei didn't want to, he had no choice but to see it. "Father, there's also an alchemy guild here?" What Lin Rei saw, Lin Xian naturally saw as well. However, the difference in their reactions was too great. Upon hearing his daughter's exclamation, Lin Rei turned his head and gestured for her to keep quiet. After which, he walked forward. As they walked, Lin Rei explained, "The 4 great guilds are extremely mysterious. Up until now, no one knows when they will appear. We only know that there are 4 great guilds in every world. In this place, you have to restrain your personality. Earlier when you exclaimed, there were already a few strands of divine sense scanning you. So, Remember, you can't be so flustered in the future. Moreover, after speaking, Lin Ray couldn't help but puff out his chest as he proudly continued. As the daughter of Lin Ray, what's there to be so flustered about in such a situation? Lin Xian, with regards to Lin Ray's words, she clearly couldn't accept it. After which, she retreated to the side with an expression as though she didn't know him. With regards to this, Lin Ray smiled and ignored it. He continued walking forward, but his divine sense was still on Lin Xian. In such a place, she was actually captured. Even if he wanted to save her, he was powerless to do so. Have you heard? The Star Cloud Commerce Organization is holding an auction today. What? Star Cloud Commerce? That's right. I'm just on my way to the Star Cloud Commerce Chamber of Commerce. I've heard that the Star Cloud Commerce Chamber of Commerce has something good up for auction this time. Moreover, I've heard that the Star Cloud Commerce Chamber of Commerce wants to auction off the shop in the middle of the 4 great guilds. Don't you think it's appropriate to miss such a grand event? F***CK. Why didn't you say so earlier? Hurry, hurry. The casual conversation of strangers attracted Lin Ray's attention. Of course, it wasn't for the good stuff that they were talking about, but for at the shop. Sienna, let's go take a look, Lin Ray said with interest. Where to? Lin Ray, facing his daughter's indifference, he was also helpless. Just now, someone said that there will be an auction in the Star Cloud Commerce. Such a grand event. Do you think it's good if we don't go and join the fun? Besides, I have nothing to do now. I've been shopping for so long, so I'll just take it as a break. After speaking, he didn't wait for Lin Xian to agree. He grabbed her hand and followed the stranger who spoke earlier. The Star Cloud Commerce Organization was one of the top-tier commerce organizations in the Yellow region. Its influence was spread throughout the entire Yellow region, and although it couldn't be compared to the Holy Grounds, its wealth was comparable to an empire. The disciples of its commerce organization were so strong that they wouldn't lose out to first-rate sections. There were many people on the road, and the majority of them were heading towards the direction of the Star Cloud Commerce Organization. Among them, there were Tao Fruit Saints, God Emperors, God Monarchs, and Paragons. However, there were only a few Tao Fruit Saints. Thinking about it, although they were in the Holy World, this was after all the Yellow region, the most barren place in the Holy World. No matter how powerful the Emperor dynasty was, Saint Realm experts wouldn't casually appear here. In the hearts of Saint Realm experts, cultivation was the most important thing. As for these trivial matters, they would usually leave it to their disciples or sects to handle. They only needed to be in charge of cultivation and become the support of their sections. As they got closer and closer to the Star Cloud Commerce Organization, Lin Ray also heard quite a lot of things. It was said that this shop was extremely popular, and even the 4 great sect had acted. From this, one could see that they were all determined to obtain the shop. The Star Cloud Commerce Organization was located right beside the 4 great sections. It occupied an extremely vast area, just like the Star Cloud auction house they were currently in. Just the auction house alone was tens of thousands of square meters in size, and the architecture was extremely extravagant. From the exterior, one could tell how wealthy the Star Cloud Commerce Organization was exactly. Arriving at the entrance of Star Cloud Commerce, Linley stared blankly at the enormous house. Then, he came back to his senses. Perhaps it was even more intense. Let's go. He brought Lin Xian into the Star Cloud auction house. This place was separated into the 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd level, and 4th level. With regards to such a place, Lin Ray knew that as long as one was willing to pay, they could even enter the 4th level. He didn't follow the crowd to the 1st level. Instead, he turned and brought Lin Xian to the counter. I wonder if there are any conditions to enter the 2nd or 3rd level. At this moment, the person sitting in front of the counter was a young lady. Her features were extremely young, and her figure was close to perfection. 2nd level? 3rd level? Upon hearing this, the young lady inclined her head and stared at Lin Ray and Lin Xian. Her expression froze for a moment before she smiled. If you want to enter the 2nd level, the 3rd level is extremely simple. The second level requires 200,000 Saint Realm crystals, and the third level requires 600,000 Saint Realm crystals. How is it? Do you still want to go up now? The young lady inquired, her face filled with interest. Dad, why don't we forget it? 600,000, go up, why not? Before Lin Xian could finish her words, Lin Ray directly interjected. With an intention of his will, he passed the interspatial ring containing 600,000 Saint Realm crystals to the young lady. Lin Ray's straightforwardness caused the young lady to be stunned. Although this was the Xinyuan Empire and there were many rich people here, this was the first time she had seen someone spending 600,000 Saint Realm crystals for a room. Naturally, she recovered from her shock after a short moment. A smile instantly appeared on her face as she casually passed a token to Lin Ray. With her other hand, she took the interspatial ring from Lin Ray's hand and directly tossed it to the side without even glancing at it. Sir, this is the key to room number 16 on the third level. The two of you can head there. Don't you want to take a look? What if it's not enough? The young lady's actions caused Lin Ray to be stunned. Although 600,000 Saint Realm crystals wasn't much to him, he didn't expect that the young lady would casually toss the key to him. Sir, you must be joking. Do you think someone who casually spends 600,000 Saint Realm crystals to buy a room would lack this amount of money? In any case, this servant doesn't believe you. After speaking, the young lady covered her mouth and laughed, her beauty causing the downfall of empires. As the saying goes, a smile capable of causing the downfall of a city would bring forth hundreds of charms. Chapter 1171. Without another word, she led her daughter up to the third floor. As for the receptionist, although she was beautiful, she was still a little lacking compared to Ing. Dad, look at how beautiful that young lady is. That tiny waist, that petite face, that coquettish voice, I feel that you should go up and give it a try. With your status, I believe that young lady will definitely throw herself at you. On the way, Lin Xian couldn't help but speak. Lin Ray was speechless. She was sweating profusely and almost fell down. She looked at her daughter beside her with a stunned expression and rolled her eyes. She didn't say anything. Dad, I'm telling the truth. That lady is indeed enough. Don't say any more. Not waiting for Lin Xian to finish her words, Lin Ray directly interjected. Little girl, the more you talk, the more ridiculous you are. How could a girl ask her father to do such a thing? It's fortunate that your mother isn't here. If your mother were to find out about what you did just now, at that time, if your butt doesn't explode, I'll write my name Lin backwards. Father, I was just joking. Don't joke with your own daughter, huh? Obviously, she was afraid, which made Lin Ray a little surprised. He was just joking just now, but he didn't expect it to have such an effect. Thinking of the lawless behavior of the little lass, as well as the earlier incident, Lin Ray instantly thought of a way to subdue Lin Xian. The two of them chatted as they went up to the third floor. Room 16 was easy to find. They followed the room number and finally found their own room. He took out the card from a front desk and stuck it on the door. With a click, the door opened. Huff, huff. The door opened, and a wave of pure Holy Spirit chi gushed out and washed over Lin Ray and his companion. Not bad. This room, the density of the holy spiritual chi. This star cloud commerce really dared to spend a lot of money. Feeling the density of the holy spiritual chi, Lin Ray couldn't help but admire the star cloud commerce's generosity. Father, this a spirit gathering formation. From the looks of it, its level isn't low, Lin Ray said, understanding what she meant. He brought Lin Xian into the room and closed the door. At this moment, the layout of the room was extremely simple. There were tables, stools, beds, tea sets, decorations, and what shocked Lin Ray was the carpet that was spread on the floor. Although Lin Ray did not know where the blanket came from, he knew it was a kind of demonic beast fur. The demonic beast cultivation was at least at the peak ultimate god realm, or even at the half-saint realm. This level of extravagance was something that even the Nine Heavens Chamber of Commerce had never done in the past. Yet this star cloud commerce was so extravagant that it was a pity for their influence in the holy world. In the outside world, there were more and more people in the Starcloud auction house, so it was naturally unavoidable to hear miserable voices. Of course, the miserable voices were only limited to the first floor. From the looks of it, there were at least 100 people on the first floor. Currently, each of them were sitting on their own seats. On the first floor, facing the direction of the entrance, there was an arena that was about 30 to 40 feet long. The arena was decorated with all kinds of luxurious decorations. It was definitely the extravagance of the Star Cloud commerce. What made Lin Ray surprised was that the cultivations of the guards and patrolling guards were all very strong. Most of them were at the God Emperor realm. Of course, the gatekeeper was at the God Monarch realm. In such a place, there were actually people with such cultivation bases. Just earlier in this auction house, he could faintly sense the aura of a late-stage Dao fruit saint. This series of events indicated that the Star Cloud commerce was very strong. At the very least, from the looks of it, the disciples of the Star Cloud commerce were comparable to the disciples of the Xuanzong Sect. As expected of the divine world. Just a yellow region commerce has such a deep foundation. TSK. His admiration for the Star Cloud commerce grew stronger and stronger, and his interest in it grew. As for the auction items of the Star Cloud commerce, Lin Ray was even more interested. He was very much looking forward to what the next auction item would be. Time passed by slowly. In the blink of an eye, 4 hours passed. The doors of the Star Cloud auction house were slammed shut, and the originally clamorous voices on the first floor stopped abruptly the instant the doors were shut. The entire auction house was silent, so silent that even sparrows couldn't make a sound. The silence was so eerie that it felt strange. Number 16 on the third floor, in the room Lin Ray was in, Lin Xian's interest was piqued. She walked to the window and leaned against it, propping up her chin with one hand as she stared at the silent scene below. A look of interest flashed on her face. "Dad, do you think there will be good items in the auction this time around?" His gaze landed on his daughter. Lin Ray had a bitter smile on his face. What did she mean by there won't be good items? Such a huge auction house. If there weren't any good items, how could it be opened? Not only that, which auction house didn't have good items? Even if it wasn't good in your eyes, it would still be good in the eyes of others. As she thought of this, she rolled her eyes and spoke. That would depend on whose eyes it is. Who knows? Maybe there will be good items this time around. But of course, this would depend on your judgment. If you say that the item is good, then it is good. If you feel that it isn't good, then it naturally isn't. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian started. All right then. The room fell into silence. Lin Ray's gaze turned downwards. His expression was filled with anticipation. Boom! Boom, boom! All of a sudden, in the silent auction house, the sound of a drum rang out. The sound wasn't loud, but felt as though it had penetrated through the air. The sound of the drum was deep and resounding. Good stuff. At the very least, it should be a low-grade divine weapon. At the instant the sound of the drum rang out, the quality of the item appeared in Lin Ray's heart. Everyone, a resonant male voice that was filled with a penetrating power abruptly rang out. The instant the voice of the man rang out, the gazes of everyone in the auction house were all focused on the stage on the first floor. At this moment, a middle-aged man appeared on the stage. His cultivation was retracted, his eyes were bright and spirited, and the luxurious robes he was clad in caused the crowd to be speechless. Upon sensing the gazes of the crowd, the middle-aged man smiled as he spoke. "My name is Liao Chun, a gold-ranked auctioneer of the Starcloud auction. Everyone, welcome to the Starcloud auction house to participate in the auction. I believe that this auction will not disappoint Xiaowei." Clap, clap, clap. As the sound of Liao Chen's voice faded, a series of clapping sounds rang out. The faces of everyone in the auction house were filled with excitement. Good, good. I understand everyone's thoughts. Since this is the case, let the Starcloud auction begin. The smile on the middle-aged man's face faded. After speaking, he waved his hand, and a few moments later, a woman carried out a cross-legged item covered by a black cloth and stood beside Liao Chun. At this moment, the gazes of the crowd were all focused on the woman who was carrying the item. There was no lack of impatient people in the auction house. They released their divine sense to probe the item, but when their divine sense landed on the black cloth, they were all stunned. There seemed to be something like a barrier isolating their divine sense outside. Chapter 1172. Liao Chun was also a cultivator, and his cultivation was at the late-stage God-Emperor realm. Naturally, he could sense the divine senses of the crowd. However, he didn't expose them from the start to the end. Instead, he smiled as he swept his gaze across the crowd. Cultivation, since the first auction item has been brought up, let's begin. As he spoke, he reached out and pulled the black cloth on the plate. With a swoosh, he lifted it. Suddenly, the first auction item was exposed in front of everyone. What is that? Is that a token? F***K. Is the Star Cloud Commerce joking? Using this kind of thing as an opening remark to fool people. F***K, a token? F***K, this must be a joke. For a moment, the appearance of the first auction item caused the crowd to be stunned. After which, they started discussing amongst themselves. Waves of voices entered Liao Chen's ears, but he didn't show any dissatisfaction. On the third floor, in Lin Rei's room, the first auction item naturally appeared in front of Lin Rei. With regard to the appearance of this item, Lin Rei's first reaction was the same as the crowd on the first floor. He felt that the Star Cloud Commerce was too careless. Something's not right. This item isn't as simple as a token. His divine sense descended upon the medallion. He had never seen the material of this medallion before. What shocked Linley even more was that within the medallion, there was a hint of divine sense that was so weak that it was almost undetectable. This trace of divine sense was very weak, extremely weak. If one didn't examine it carefully, they wouldn't be able to detect the existence of divine sense within. Father, this item. Seeing the changes in her father's expression, Lin Xian probed. Bid for it. Although I don't know what use this token has, but since the Star Cloud Commerce brought it out for auction, this item definitely isn't simple. Lin Rei decided. He believed that this item was definitely not simple. Oh, fine. Although Lin Xian didn't understand her father's decision, she would naturally carry it out since he said so. Below, on the auction stage, Liao Chun listened to the crowd's discussion and said, "This token was obtained from the Luo God Mystic Realm. Its material is special. The armorers of the Armor Guild once examined its material, but they were unable to confirm it in the end. Furthermore, commercial divine artifacts cannot damage it at all. It is impervious to water and fire." At first, I didn't know what this token was, and since it was the first item to be auctioned, the price was much cheaper. As he spoke, no one spoke, and Liao Chen didn't feel awkward at all. It was as if he had already known this would happen. The first item is the mysterious token. The starting price is 200,000 low-grade Saint Realm crystals, and each increment must be no less than 50,000. Let the competition begin. The highest bidder wins. There was complete silence. The moment Liao Chen finished speaking, the sound of the token going off was completely silent. The cultivators below all looked at each other. In the end, no one placed the token on the auction list in their hearts. He wasn't the only one. Everyone on the second and third floors were the same. No one spoke. Time passed little by little. Liao Chen didn't feel embarrassed at all. After waiting quietly for more than 10 minutes, a trace of disappointment flashed across his face when he saw that no one was competing. Of course, this disappointment only lasted for a moment. If that's the case, then this auction item, 250,000 low-grade Saint crystals. Suddenly, when no one intended to become a monk and the auctioneer was about to take the item off the shelf, a bidder made a bid. Wow! At this moment, the entire Star Cloud auction house was in an uproar. Everyone turned to look at the room that made the bid. On the third floor, room number 16. That's right, the bidder was Lin Rei. 250,000, 250,000. Anyone else? 250,000. Liao Chen looked at the room that Lin Rei was in. His initial disappointment was replaced by a smile. Although the price was much lower than expected, He could at least break even if he sold it. 250,000 going once. His gaze swept across the crowd. As usual, no one had any intention to bid. 250,000 going twice. 250,000 going thrice. Bang. Sold. The auctioneer made the final decision. At this moment, the auction item was won by Lin Ray at the price of 250,000 low-grade Saint Realm crystals. Congratulations to the young master in room number 16 on the 3rd floor. He has won the first auction item for 250,000 low-grade Saint Realm crystals. After saying that, the auctioneer waved his hand and signaled the attendant beside him. The attendant understood the auctioneer's intention and walked towards Lin Ray's room on the 3rd floor. Lin Ray's bid gave the crowd a big smokescreen. They didn't understand who would spend 250,000 for such a useless item. All right, the small interlude is over. The first auction item is over. Next up is the second auction item. After saying that, another attendant walked out from the back and came to Liao Chun. Everyone's gaze once again focused on the item in the attendant's hand. This time, they didn't release their divine sense like before. Instead, everyone's gaze fell on Liao Chun with anticipation. The scene was silent, waiting for Liao Chun to reveal the item. The crowd's reaction made Liao Chun smile even wider. He didn't want to spoil the crowd's appetite. With a faint smile, he said, "I believe everyone has heard that the shop in the middle of the 4 major guilds is going to be auctioned this time." As soon as Liao Chun said that, the crowd couldn't remain calm anymore. The main event was here. They all thought that the shop would appear at the end, but they didn't expect it to appear in the second auction item. Moreover, the first auction item was an insignificant item. "Steward Liao, don't beat around the bush. Since you've come out, hurry up and say it. Our time is precious, and we don't have time to waste on you." "Yeah, hurry up and start bidding." "Yeah, Steward Liao, hurry up." Everyone in the auction house, whether it was on the 1st floor or in the rooms upstairs, echoed Liao Chun's words. This was exactly what Liao Chun wanted to see. All right, since everyone knows, let's start the second round of the auction. After saying that, Liao Chun lifted the black cloth and revealed a black key. Everyone in the rooms upstairs stood up excitedly when they saw the black key. They came to the window and locked their eyes on the key on the auction stage. The auction for the central shop will now begin. The token price is 1 million mid-grade Saint Realm crystals. Each bid must not exceed 500,000 mid-grade Saint Realm crystals. The highest bidder wins. Let the auction begin. 2 million. As soon as Liao Chun's voice fell, an old man's voice sounded in the auction house. 3 million. 4 million. 6 million. The price soared to 6 million in an instant. It was no longer as silent as before. Everyone started bidding. However, the ones who were bidding were all upstairs. The people on the 1st floor were all silent. No one made a bid. 10 million. My 1,000 treasure sect will take this shop. Chapter 1173. 1,000 treasures sect, what arrogance! Indeed, since when can 1,000 treasures sect act so presumptuously in Emperor Xuanyuan's capital? Indeed, our 4 major guilds haven't even spoken yet, and your 1,000 treasures sect is already so arrogant. It seems that your 1,000 treasures sect has become arrogant these days. 1,000 treasures sect, very arrogant. I wonder if you can afford to offend our weapon refining guild? For a moment, the atmosphere was filled with the smell of gunpowder. This was just the beginning, and the 4 major guilds had already appeared and angrily attacked the 1,000 treasures sect. If anyone could win the central shop, then, for a moment, the 1,000 treasures sect could be said to be standing at the heart of the storm. The people from the 1,000 treasures sect probably didn't expect that just by speaking, they would receive such treatment from the 4 major guilds. Although the 4 major guilds and the 1,000 treasures sect usually had many conflicts, it was all in the dark. Generally, no one dared to do so openly, but now, for a shop, they had actually caused such a commotion. It was truly a lively scene for everyone present to watch. On the 3rd floor, in room 16, Lin Ray was amused as he listened to the smoke outside. The actions of the top guilds made him a little curious. Just a central shop was enough to cause such powerful forces to tear each other apart. Thinking about this, Lin Ray laughed. The more it was like this, the happier he was. My weapon refining guild offers 15 million. My alchemy guild offers 18 million. Each and every one of you, my formation guild offers 20 million. The four major guilds spoke. As the saying goes, they won't stop until they're shocked to death. Now, the way they increased the price was so crazy. This was only the major guilds and sections. Who else had such powerful financial support? An empire? What a joke! The seller of this shop was the imperial family of an empire. Since everyone has made a bid, my talisman guild naturally can't be the last one. At this time, a woman spoke. Her voice was very pleasant, like the sound of an oriole, crisp, moving, and causing one's imagination to run wild. The Talisman Guild offers 30 million mid-grade Saint Realm crystals. I wonder, is there anyone with a higher cultivation? Cultivation level, you have to think carefully. There are millions of middle-grade Saint Realm crystals. Although your guild and sect are very strong, and you don't lack Saint Realm crystals, are you sure you can make the decision? The person in charge of the Talisman Association spoke again. You, in the 4 rooms on the 4th floor, pill concocting, equipment forging, spell formations, the 10,000 treasures sect, and the other auctioneers' faces darkened when they heard this. The Talisman manager wasn't lying. Although they had a high status in their own territory, 30 million Saint Realm crystals wasn't a small amount. They couldn't afford it. Furthermore, even though winning the bid for the Central District store could represent his standing, the price he had to pay was simply too high. Given the current situation, if anyone were to bid for the central shop, they would most likely offend the other shops. To be able to achieve their status, they were naturally not fools. Their first priority was to protect themselves. Even if they failed to win the bid for the central store, they would at most be punished when they returned. After thinking for a moment, the urge's heart slowly calmed down. A smile appeared on his face as he looked towards the room where the Talisman Guild was located. Since your Talisman Guild is so generous, then my Alchemy Guild naturally can't compare. Since that's the case, my Alchemy Guild will give up this opportunity to bid. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present felt stifled and strange expressions appeared on their faces. Generally speaking, the Alchemist Guild had always been unyielding, but why was it like this time? Since the Alchemy Guild has given up, then my Blacksmith Guild naturally can't continue. We'll also give up. My Formation Guild will also give up this bid. As they spoke, they changed the topic. The Thousand Treasures Sect has always been known for being rich and overbearing. I believe it will be the same this time. Let us first congratulate the Thousand Treasures Sect for winning the Central District store. The Thousand Treasures Sect was speechless. This time, when the Thousand Treasures Sect heard these words, his expression became even more gloomy. He looked towards the Formation Guild. He didn't expect the Formation Guild to be so insidious. Elder Cheong, don't be angry. They are obviously trying to stir up trouble. At this moment, the young man sitting on top of Elder Cheong reached out and patted him. Then, he stood up and went to the window. He removed the illusion formation and cupped his hands towards the Formation Guild's room. I am Lu Qingfeng. I admit that my Thousand Treasures Sect is unable to bid for the Central District store. Since that's the case, whoever wants to bid for the Central District store, my Thousand Treasures Sect will book a room and pay a generous visit. Asterisk wow. Asterisk as soon as he said that, the crowd went into an uproar. Even Lin Ray couldn't help but take another look at Lu Qingfeng. He was able to bend and stand as needed. To be able to do that in such a situation, he shouldn't be underestimated. On the auction stage, Liao Chun hurriedly spoke out. No matter which side had a conflict, it would affect the Star Cloud commerce. All right, let's get back to the topic. As soon as Liao Chun spoke, everyone's eyes turned to him. Central District store, 30 million. 30 million going once. Liao Chun spoke to smooth things over. Everyone knew that Liao Chun was trying to smooth things over. As for the first and second time that Liao Chun said, It was purely superfluous. If the Talisman Association was able to accomplish such a feat with so many powers in the past, then who would dare to make a bid? Glancing at the crowd, he knew that no one would bid after the Talisman Guild did this. 30 million going twice, 30 million going thrice, 35 million. Asterisk boom asterisk. Just when everyone thought that this was the end of the matter, just when Liao Chun thought that no one would bid anymore and was about to make the final call, a demonic voice entered everyone's ears. At this moment, everyone couldn't stay calm anymore. The four major guilds, Thousand Treasures Sect, Royal Family, and all the Grade 1, Grade 2, and Grade 3 forces in the Azure Mystic Imperial Empire were shocked. The ones who were the most shocked were the Thousand Treasures Sect and the other three major guilds. They didn't expect that someone would dare to provoke the Talisman Guild. On the fourth floor, Lu Qingfeng stood by the window and glanced at Lin Rei's room. A faint smile appeared on his face. Interesting. He dares to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. How interesting. Tisk TSK. The person who spoke sounds awesome. I'm afraid this guy is going to be in trouble this time. In the Talisman Guild's room, a young lady locked her gaze on Lin Rei's room. Her face was gloomy and she was very unhappy. Go. Find out which force is in that room. As soon as she said that, a man appeared from the dark. After responding, he quietly disappeared. At this moment, Lin Rei's room became the focus of everyone's attention. However, there was only pity and pity in everyone's eyes. In their opinion, offending the Talisman Guild was equivalent to a dead end. At this moment, Liao Chun was the happiest. Who would complain about having more money? Previously, the four major guilds and the Thousand Treasures Sect stirred up trouble, and he couldn't do anything about it. Now that a dark horse suddenly appeared, how could he not be happy? His gaze locked on Lin Rei's room, and he said, 35 million mid-grade Saint Realm crystals. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? 35 million Saint crystals. 40 million. The lady from the Talisman Guild spoke again. She glared at Lin Rei's room's window angrily. She looked like she wanted to eat someone and drink their blood. Everyone in the room was stunned. 40 million Saint Realm crystals had shocked everyone. The three major guilds and the Thousand Treasures Sect were also shocked. 40 million Saint Realm crystals was the annual income of the Thousand Treasures Sect. How could they not be shocked? In Lin Rei's room, Lin Xian turned her head and looked at Lin Rei when she heard the Talisman Guild's bid. Father, do you still want to bid higher? Of course, why not? Isn't it just 40 million? Don't worry, we have plenty of money. Okay. Lin Xian loved to hear this sentence the most. After receiving the affirmation, she turned her head and said to Liao Chun, 41 million. Pooh. When Lu Qingfeng, who was drinking tea, heard this, he didn't care about his image and directly spat out a mouthful of tea. He looked at Lin Rei with a strange expression. The one who wasn't flustered was him. Even Lin Rei didn't expect his daughter to be so mischievous. But he liked it. You guys, the lady from the Talisman Guild was even more enraged after hearing Lin Rei's words. She wanted nothing more than to rush over and punish him on the spot. Miss, are we still bidding? 40 million Saint Realm crystals is the limit the guild can offer. If we continue bidding, I'm afraid the guild leader. I'm bidding, why not? How can I, Feng Miaoyan, lose to others? She glared at the old lady, her face filled with unhappiness and unwillingness. It was as though not bidding would be the greatest insult to her. 45 million Saint Realm crystals. 45 million Saint Realm crystals. Feng Miaoyan smiled bitterly in her heart. This 45 million Saint Realm crystals is the bottom line. If it still isn't enough, I'm afraid I'll have to give up. As she thought of this, she glared at Lin Rei with hatred and gritted her teeth. One day, I'll find out who you are. At that time, I'll make sure you die. However, what Feng Miaoyan didn't want to hear the most still happened. The moment the bid of 46 million Saint Realm crystals entered her ears, the last bit of hope in her heart was shattered by 46 million Saint Realm crystals. 46 million Saint Realm crystals. The young master from room 16 on the third floor has bid 46 million mid-grade Saint Realm crystals. Are there any higher bids? As she spoke, she looked at the crowd with a smile. The joy in her heart couldn't be concealed in the slightest. She initially thought that 30 million Saint Realm crystals would be the limit. But now, there was an additional 16 million Saint Realm crystals. How is this possible? Those two are so rich. At the front desk of the Star Cloud auction, the lady who served Lin Ray's parents previously knew that the person in room 16 on the third floor was a person. That's right, 600,000 Saint Realm crystals for a room. It's possible to fork out more than 40 million Saint Realm crystals, but since they're so rich, why haven't I heard of them before? Thinking of the two unfamiliar faces, the lady couldn't figure it out. At this moment, Lin Ray's identity became the most puzzling question in everyone's heart. 46 million Saint Realm crystals going once. Liao Chen paused and glanced at the crowd. When he saw that no one else was bidding, he opened his mouth again. 46 million Saint Realm crystals going twice. 46 million Saint Realm crystals going thrice. Bang! Sold! Once the hammer fell, there would be no regrets. Once the deal was done, Liao Chun became even happier. As the gold medal auctioneer of the Star Cloud Commerce, he would be able to get a commission for every item he auctioned. Thus, the commission he would get for over 40 million was much higher than the commission of the entire auction. Congratulations to the young master in room 16 for obtaining the right to use the central store in the Xianyuan Empire. After speaking, the attendant beside him walked up to the third floor. With regards to this, the gazes of the crowd all landed on the door of room 16. They wanted to see who exactly opened the door. They also wanted to know how they would be treated by the Talisman Sect after the auction ended. Oh yeah, Dad, am I awesome or not? On the third floor, in Lin Ray's room, Lin Xian, who obtained the right to use the central store, was so agitated that she jumped up and walked towards her father, wanting to praise him. Awesome, my Xian is the most awesome. Lin Ray was very fond of his daughter's current cheerful personality. Compared to the coldness she exuded when she returned to the sect, it was much better. Father, don't make any noise. Someone is coming. Suddenly, Lin Ray gestured for silence, causing the originally excited Lin Xian to freeze. Sect leader, do you want to kill that person? A cold voice rang out from the room. Lin Xian wasn't surprised at all. Go on, send it back to where he came from. Lin Ray spoke, his words filled with boundless killing intent. Yes, the voice replied. The coldness in the room instantly vanished as the temperature returned to normal. Knock, knock, knock. The sound of knocking rang out. The killing intent in Lin Ray's eyes was instantly retracted. The terrifying aura he exuded was also retracted. At this moment, Lin Ray was no different from a mortal. Go and open the door. Got it. Lin Xian regained her usual elegance as she slowly walked to the door and opened it. The female attendant beside the auctioneer earlier appeared before Lin Xian. Miss, this is the key to the central store you obtained. Please check it. As she spoke, she pushed the tray up. Okay, these are the Saint crystals from the auction earlier. Without checking the authenticity of the key, Lin Xian waved her hands and kept the key. After that, she passed the 46 million Saint crystals she had prepared earlier to the attendant. In that case, this servant will take her leave first. Since her mission here was completed, there was naturally no need for her to stay. Without a chance, the attendant closed the door and walked to Lin Ray's side, taking out the key. Father, is this thing really so valuable? Lin Xian stared at the round ball in her hand with a face filled with bewilderment. When she thought of the Saint crystal she obtained a year and a half ago, she felt an indescribable pain in her heart, as though it was bleeding. Ha ha! Seeing his daughter in such a state, Lin Ray laughed. It's fine. Don't feel heartache over such a small amount of money. As he spoke, he stretched his hand out and grabbed the round ball as a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Didn't you say that we would be staying here for a long period of time? Now that we have some stores, with your father here, we won't be able to earn money if we don't stink. Lin Xian, when she thought of her father's methods, she started to sympathize with the four great guilds. When she thought of how the four great guilds might lose their jobs not long after, she couldn't help but feel a little excited in her heart. In front of them, the assassins sent out by Lin Ray found the person sent by the Talisman Guild and killed him without hesitation. As for the identity of the assassins, they were clear after checking the interspatial ring. Without making a sound, Lin Xian used assassination methods to conceal herself. She came to the entrance of the Talisman Guild's room, placed the corpse down, and left. The entire process didn't startle anyone, and she wasn't discovered by anyone. After completing such a magnificent feat, she returned to Lin Ray's side. Chapter 1174. Below, the auction continued. However, Lin Ray did not have the slightest desire to bid for the items at the back of the central store. Now that he had completed his business at the Star Cloud auction, he should prepare to work hard in the Azure Mystic Imperial Dynasty. When he thought of the financial power of the entire sect behind him, a sense of helplessness welled up in his heart. However, every time he thought of the mission issued by the system, this sense of helplessness became the motivation for him to work hard to improve his cultivation. Only then could he complete the mission and not be destroyed by the system. Young mistress, it's not good. Just as Lin Ray was bored to death and did not know what to do, in the room of the Talisman Association on the 4th floor, Snake Duke came to Feng Miaoyan's side with an unsightly expression and whispered in her ear. She was very clear about Elder Qiong's strength. It was normal for him to be calm when dealing with matters, but now, the person we sent out just now is, what's wrong? A bad premonition welled up in her heart. From Elder Qiong's expression, she could make a guess. Something might have happened to the disciple they sent out just now. Sure enough, just as this thought came to her mind, she heard Snake Duke's voice. That disciple is dead, and, as he spoke, he pointed to the door and said earnestly, the corpse is lying at the door. What? She stood up abruptly and looked in the direction of the door with an unsightly expression. She was inexplicably horrified. No one present had noticed the corpse at all. If the other party had wanted to kill her, she would have become a cold corpse by now. What made her even more incredulous was that even with Snake Duke's strength, he did not notice when the corpse was placed. According to Snake Duke's information, the corpse was cold. It must have been dead for a long time. Snake Duke's gaze fell on the room on the 3rd floor where Lin Ray was. Her heart was filled with fear. Yes, fear. The dignified young mistress of the Talisman Association was now filled with fear. Snake Duke looked at the young mistress' expression and sighed inwardly. Indeed, it was hard not to feel fear. Just the other party's method of placing the corpse at the door without anyone noticing was enough to make them tremble in fear. At that moment, no one in the room looked down on Lin Ray. It was impossible for someone with such strength to remain unknown in the Saint world. She understood that no matter how many people she sent, it would be the same. Instead of losing soldiers and generals, it would be better to turn big problems into small ones, and small ones into nothing. One more friend would mean one more path. Thinking about it, Feng Miaoyan's complexion improved a little. She ordered the guard at the side, go and bury that brother. As for his family, compensate them with the highest compensation of the guild and receive the protection of the guild. Plop. Thank you, miss, for your benevolence. I will deal with it now. The 3 of them were wearing the same clothes as the corpse. More importantly, they had been brothers with the deceased for many years. Even though their brothers were dead, the guild had already done everything they could to protect them. The Talisman Guild was already doing very well. If it were other powers, they probably wouldn't be able to do what Feng Miaoyan did. Snake Duke praised Feng Miaoyan's actions. Feng Miaoyan was both brave and smart. She was indeed a great talent. Unfortunately, Feng Miaoyan was a girl and not suitable for men. Otherwise, the death of the Talisman Guild's disciple wasn't publicized. It was silently covered up. Lin Ray wasn't surprised by this at all. He even agreed with this way of dealing with it. Of course, if the other party was deliberately stirring up trouble, he would persist until the end. Although Lin Ray was afraid of trouble, he wasn't a coward. If there was trouble, he could just eliminate everything. Simple, violent, and effective. The Star Cloud auction didn't change because of Lin Ray's actions. It was still very lively. Everyone was trying their best to bid for things that they liked and were useful to them. The 4 major guilds and the 1,000 Treasures sect made a few moves midway, but Lin Ray didn't make a move at all. Everyone was very puzzled by Lin Ray's silence. In just a moment, this silence was magnified by the crowd. Some said that Lin Ray had spent more than 40 million because he was out of money. Many people believed this. Some said that he had offended the 4 major guilds today and wanted to restrain himself. Some said that Lin Ray's guts were broken and he didn't dare to make a move again. All sorts of rumors flew, but Lin Ray didn't give any explanation. From his point of view, the benevolent saw benevolence and the wise saw wisdom. There were some idiots who wanted to fill in the blanks. He couldn't do anything about it. What Lin Ray was thinking about now was none other than the central shop. After all, he had spent so much money. He naturally had to get the money back from the higher-ups and use the profits to make more money for the sect. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to raise the sect to the level that the system wanted him to do all by himself. Thinking about this, the room fell silent. Lin Xian, who was leaning against the window, looked down in boredom. The auction items were bought one by one. She wasn't interested in these items at all. From her point of view, the items that were auctioned earlier weren't even as good as her father's. Take weapons, for example. She remembered that the best grade of the items auctioned earlier was merely a high-grade divine weapon. Just the items in her interspatial storage were as numerous as the hairs on an ox. Of course, it was an exaggeration, but it was truly a dazzling array of items. Sabers, spears, swords, halberds, axes, hooks, tridents, whatever she wanted, she had it. Even if she lost one item every day, it would take a very long time before she could empty her interspatial storage. All right, everyone. Next up is the new batch of slaves that the Starcloud auction house obtained. Don't underestimate them. They all have great backgrounds. Seeing the confusion on the faces of the crowd, Liao Chen laughed. After which, he continued, "These people are all born from the heavens and earth. Their cultivation bases are innately strong, and their spiritual roots are extremely terrifying. A single one of them can fight against 4 to 5 people of the same level. Born from the heavens and earth." Liao Chen's words attracted the attention of everyone present. Born from the heavens and earth? This couldn't be a joke. Born from the heavens and earth. It was only when Hongmeng was first formed and the Desolate Era was born that there were living beings born from the heavens and earth. Right now, no one knew how long had passed since the Desolate Era. Now that Liao Chen suddenly said that the heavens and earth were born from the heavens and earth, no one would believe such words. But these words caused Lin Xian's interest to be piqued. She had seen living beings born from the heavens and earth before. For example, Xiefeng was a living being born from the heavens and earth. Tao Tai, Pixiu, Devourer, etc. These were all living beings born from the heavens and earth. Her gaze was fixated on the stage below. At this moment, her interest was piqued. As for her father, Lin Ray, he was still in deep contemplation and didn't hear what Liao Chen said earlier. "Manager Liao, you must be joking. Living beings born from the heavens and earth. Do you think they still exist? Even if they do in this world, would you auction off such a good item? Indeed, how could the Starcloud Commerce be willing to auction off such a good item? Wouldn't it be better if they kept them in captivity?" Chapter 1175. What Lu Chengfeng said was what everyone was thinking. Indeed, if it happened to them, they wouldn't even think about spitting it out. Liao Chen acted as if he didn't see Lu Chengfeng's doubt. He continued with a smile, "Young Master Lu, you must be joking. My Starcloud Commerce Hall is a place of business. Since we have good things, we will naturally take them out to auction. To be honest, these few people have extremely firm hearts. Even though I have used all of my methods, I only managed to make them stop resisting. It is already impossible to make them give up their clan members. In this case, It didn't matter whether these people were in the Star Cloud Chamber of Commerce or not. Instead, it was better to take them out to strengthen the Star Cloud Chamber of Commerce. At least they could get their memories back and a good reputation. They could even make friends with experts. How could the Star Cloud Chamber of Commerce miss such a good opportunity? Although he didn't believe the people Liao Chen mentioned, Lu Qingfeng vaguely believed what Liao Chen said now. Indeed, these natural creatures couldn't do anything. After all, this was not the untainted land. Now that the system of the holy world was completed, so what if they were born naturally? They couldn't make any waves. But even so, Lu Qingfeng was determined to get these people. After making the decision, he didn't say anything. He just waited quietly for the natural creatures to appear. The auction site was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Liao Chun looked at the expectant eyes of the crowd and waved his hand. A waiter led 8 people out from the backstage. One had to admit that the Star Cloud Chamber of Commerce was really good. The ratio of men and women was very balanced. There were 4 men and 4 women. All of them looked like they were in their 20s. Appearance: the men were handsome and confident. If they were rich, they would be handsome and rich. The women were beautiful, but at this moment, they looked delicate and pitiful. Their eyes were watery, which made them very lovable. As soon as the 8 people came out, all the people on the 4th floor stood up. The moment they scanned the 8 people with their spirit consciousness, their faces changed dramatically. Then they looked at them with blazing eyes and excitement. They had decided to get these 8 people. Just now, when the experts scanned the 8 people with their spirit consciousness, they found that the surrounding Holy Spirit Qi rushed into the 8 people's bodies automatically. Their investigation was very clear. These 8 people did not circulate their cultivation techniques, and although the amount of Saint's spiritual Qi was small, its speed was very fast. If that was the case, coupled with top-notch cultivation techniques, it wouldn't take long for the 8 of them to become saints. As such, the 8 people who were comparable to treasures. How could the crowd not be excited? On the stage, although Liao Chun couldn't see the expressions of the people on the 4th floor, he could imagine their current expressions and attitudes. Without saying too much, he said, 8 creatures born of nature. The starting price is 10 million, and each increment must be no less than 3 million. The highest bidder wins. Let's begin. As soon as he said that, the crowd could no longer sit still. Although 10 million was a lot, compared to the 8 people who had the potential to become sages in the future, this amount of money was nothing. 16 million. Just as Liao Chan had expected, Lu Qingfeng's voice sounded in the auction house as soon as he finished speaking. Humph, Lu Qingfeng, you want to snatch him from me, don't you? Feng Miaoyan's voice came out from the room and into everyone's ears. However, Lu Qingfeng was confused by his words. What does he mean? Snatch? It seemed like he was the one who spoke first. At 40 million. Hiss. As soon as the number of 40 million was said, the crowd was shocked. Lu Qingfeng, who wanted to say something, was also refuted by the number of 40 million. In the hall on the 1st floor, everyone couldn't help but gasp when they heard the number of 40 million. They looked at the room of the Talisman Guild in shock. Miss Feng, you're really generous. You just casually said 40 million. I have to say, Miss Feng, you're really bold, the manager of the Alchemy Guild said. Umph, don't try to flatter me. If you have the ability, show me your real strength. Otherwise, you'll be a jerk. Feng Miaoyan didn't give him any face. You, as expected, as soon as Feng Miaoyan said that, the old man was deflated. He immediately said, 50 million. The old man's face was full of a confident smile. He believed that 50 million to buy 8 slaves was the most awesome thing in history. Who would have the courage to spend 50 million at once? What's more, the 50 million was for the slaves. In the Alchemy Guild, medicinal pills were extremely profitable. They were much more profitable than talismans and formations. Of course, the Blacksmith Guild was the same as the Alchemy Guild. The entire hall was silent. No one said anything. Even Lu Qingfeng was silent. Indeed, he didn't have a right to spend 50 million to buy 8 slaves. He was using the Sect's money. Feng Miaoyan was even more so. Although she was the miss of the Talisman Guild in the Xianyuan Imperial Capital, She didn't have the right to use the guild's assets. She was just a miss a branch. The blacksmith guild was even more so. With the alchemy guild's help, there was no need to be strong. He couldn't fall out with the alchemy guild for 8 slaves who might die at any time. It wasn't worth it. The hall fell into silence again. Among the 6 rooms on the 4th floor, in the only room that was always open, a young man wearing a gorgeous robe was holding a folding fan in his hand. He had an amused smile on his face, as if the scene in front of him was very interesting. Make it more intense. Dogs biting each other. This scene is really good. Looks like no one is here this time. The young man said softly. If the words of the young man were heard by the 4 great guilds and the myriad treasure sect, the Xianyuan imperial capital would definitely be in chaos. The entire auction hall was silent. Lin Xian, who had been observing the situation from her room, started to feel agitated when she saw that no one was increasing the price. 50 million, to the miss of the Xuanzong sect, this wasn't considered much at all. As for the 8 slaves on the stage, she was extremely fond of them. Lin Xian was determined to obtain them. She turned her head and glanced at her father, who was still deep in thought. She stuck out her tongue as a mischievous expression appeared on her face. After which, she called out a price that no one could reject. 80 million. 80 million. This miss wants these 8 slaves. Pada, pung, clang. Inside the auction house, there was the sound of a teacup falling to the ground, the sound of a table being smashed, and even some messy noises that could be heard everywhere. Everyone in the auction hall was even more shocked than before. Everyone turned their gazes to the 16th room on the 3rd floor. Their expressions were too complicated, and their hearts were filled with shock. Bastard, where did that fellow in the 16th room on the 3rd floor come from? 80 million mid-grade Saint Realm crystals just to buy 8 slaves? Is he crazy? Lin Xian didn't know that she had unknowingly become the target of someone. Chapter 1176. Old Qiong, what power do you think the person who bid 80 million is from? 80 million. This isn't a small sum, although our 10,000 treasure sect can afford it, but it's just 8 slaves. Even if they were born from nature, even if Lord Father was here, he wouldn't do such a crazy thing. In the room of the 10,000 treasure sect, Lu Chengfeng stared in shock at Lin Xian. Behind him, Old Qiong was equally shocked as he spoke. Yeah, 80 million. I really don't know who the person is or what power he or she is from. 80 million to buy 8 slaves. Even the Azure Mystic Empire would be unable to compare. Since the 10,000 treasures sect was like this, the other rooms were even more so. Feng Miaoyan was even more shocked and jealous. Originally, everything should have gone smoothly today, but she was repeatedly outdone. This caused her temper to erupt. But when she thought of how generous the other party was, she couldn't be sure. 80 million was indeed a lot. She didn't have the ability to buy these 8 slaves. In addition, 80 million did make her want to explode, but she didn't have the temper to do so. In an auction, the highest bidder wins. If one didn't have the ability to do so, then the entire hall was silent. Liao Chun was truly shocked. In his estimation, the price of 8 slaves would at most be 50 million. But now, the price had exceeded his estimation. However, who would complain about having too much money? For an auction, the highest bidder would win, and no one would refuse. In the entire auction, only Lin Xian herself felt that this was nothing. From her point of view, Saint crystals were meant to be spent. If not, what was the point of keeping them? To give birth to children? What a joke. They had to be able to give birth to children first. Everything she did, Lin Ray had no idea. If he knew, he would be laughing bitterly. Spending 80 million to buy a slave, no matter how rich one was, one shouldn't spend so much. Staring at the silence below, Lin Xian furrowed her brows in displeasure. She then spoke. 80 million. You think it's too little? After speaking, she changed the topic to the crowd. Her tone was extremely domineering. If anyone wants to increase the price, this lady will accompany them. If you don't want to increase the price, hurry up and settle it. This lady doesn't have the time to wait with all of you. Boom! The crowd instantly exploded. How arrogant were these words? There were 4 major guilds, top sects, and even the royal family. There were even disciples of first, second, and third grade sections. These words were undoubtedly saying that if you don't have money, don't come out and embarrass yourselves. Bastard, this won't do. Mr. Snake, go and bring out the guild's St. Crystals. Today, this lady will let her know what it means to be rich, Feng Miaoyan said, flustered and exasperated. Interesting. This woman is really interesting. I'm afraid she will offend everyone here with her words. Lu Qingfeng smiled. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such an honest and arrogant person. He really had a personality. Young master, I think the other party said that our 1,000 treasure sect is also on the list. Elder Qiong reminded him awkwardly. He couldn't understand the young master's words. Logically speaking, shouldn't he be defending his own sect at this time? While the crowd was discussing fervently, Liao Chun, who was on the auction stage, also woke up from his stupor. He bowed to Lin Rei's room as an apologetic expression appeared on his face. I'm really sorry, I was distracted. After speaking, he ignored the crowd and directly continued with the auction. 80 million. 80 million going once. Although he knew that there shouldn't be anyone else here bidding, he still paused for a moment. 80 million going twice. 80 million going thrice. Peng sold. With a hammer strike, the transaction was completed. The moment the hammer fell, the 8 slaves became Lin Xian Er's slaves. Good. Haha. Lin Xian Er's mood was extremely good after obtaining 8 slaves. She ignored her father and walked towards the door. Under the gazes of the crowd, the tightly shut door of room 16 on the 3rd floor suddenly opened. Lin Xian Er's silhouette was completely exposed before the eyes of the crowd. That graceful bearing, that beautiful countenance, that perfect figure, they were all exposed before the eyes of the crowd. This, in a room of the Azure Mystic Royal Clan, the instant the young man saw Lin Xian Er's appearance, he was completely dumbfounded. His eyes stared dumbfoundedly at Lin Xian Er's countenance as his heart was filled with shock. Such a countenance, it could be said that it's unique in the heavens and earth. With regards to Lin Xian Er's countenance, the young man couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Such a countenance, it's truly worthy of the title of a goddess. In the 10,000 treasure sect, although Lu Changfeng didn't say that he had seen countless beauties, Lin Xian Er's beauty was unparalleled in his eyes. This was especially so for the aura exuding from Lin Xian Er, causing him to be stunned. He had an impulse to rush over and greet her. The silence was normal, even quieter compared to when the price of 80 million was raised. Everyone was stunned when they saw Lin Xian Er's countenance. And when Feng Miaoyan saw the situation in the auction, the fire in her eyes couldn't be suppressed any longer. What's so amazing about her? Isn't she just a little better looking? Is there need to act like this? Snake Duke. However, Lin Xian didn't care about the stunned looks of the crowd. Right now, at the entrance, she was staring at the 8 slaves on the stage as stars flashed in her eyes. Father, daughter will go down and take a look. I'll be back soon. Punk. As the sound of her voice faded, before Lin Rei could react, she directly slammed the door shut. At this moment, Lin Rei regained his senses. Staring at the empty room and his own tightly shut door, he was completely stunned. His face was filled with questions. What's going on? Where am I? What happened? These few questions. He instantly released his divine sense. It was impossible for him to allow Lin Xian to continue on like this. Go, follow her. If there are any suspicious people who want to harm the little miss, kill them on the spot. His divine sense was locked onto Lin Xian as he commanded. Yes, sect leader. The 10 members of the combat division who followed Lin Xian here all moved out. Not long after Lin Xian left, they split up and followed behind her. Their gazes were filled with vigilance as they circulated their cultivation arts, preparing for battle at any moment. This scene caused everyone present to be stunned. This was especially so for those from the four major guilds, the sects, and the royal clan. When they saw that the 10 people who appeared were all at the grand perfection God-Emperor realm, their countenances grew increasingly unsightly. 10 grand perfection God-Emperors, they could still afford to take out 10 of them. But what shocked them was that all 10 of them were standing guard beside Lin Xian. This caused everyone to be suspicious of the power behind Lin Xian. With regard to this, Lin Ray understood that as long as these 10 people appeared, there would be a huge gap in the future. But there was no choice. If he woke up earlier, he wouldn't have to allow Lin Xian to go down. However, alchemist Linley was rather curious as to what his daughter had bought while he was deep in thought. What had she been so eager to buy? At this moment, Chapter 1177. With regards to the 10 people behind her, Lin Xian didn't mind at all. She walked slowly and gracefully up the stage. Miss, how should I address you? As the auctioneer, he naturally had to approach Lin Xian. Lin Xian. With regard to Liao Chen's polite greeting, Lin Xian didn't put it to heart. After which, she turned her gaze onto the 8 slaves. Looking at them, the smile on Lin Xian's face grew even wider. But when she saw the chains on their bodies, her smile instantly froze. You come over here and undo the chains on their bodies. How can people who belong to me, Lin Xian, be in such a state? Lin Xian's countenance turned gloomy as she spoke to the soldiers behind her. Yes, Mississippi Lin Xian's orders, the soldiers naturally didn't dare to disobey. This was especially so when they knew that the person before them was the daughter of their sect leader. One of the 10 members of the combat division stepped forward and stood in front of the 8 slaves. It was unknown when, but a long sword had appeared in his hand. Activating his cultivation technique, a sword radiance appeared. In an instant, the chains binding the 8 slaves were shattered, and they fell to the ground. And after doing all this, the soldiers respectfully retreated back to their seats, not saying a word. Not bad, this is more like it. Looking at the 8 slaves who were no longer shackled, the cold expression on Lin Xian's face was replaced by a smile. With an intention of her will, 8 healing pills appeared, and she passed them to them one by one. Eat the pills, they will aid in your recovery. From today onwards, all of you belong to me, Lin Xian, and are no longer slaves. Do you understand? Everyone was speechless. When Lin Ray saw this scene, he finally understood what his daughter wanted to do. Not bad. These 8 slaves, these 8 little fellows have decent talent and are innately close to the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. If they cultivate well, they might be able to become the cornerstones of our sect. His gaze landed on the 8 slaves and disciples. He was naturally very clear of the changes in their surroundings. However, if he knew that these 8 disciples were purchased with a price of 80 million Saint crystals, he would have fainted on the spot. Although he didn't care about this little amount of Saint realm crystals, it still didn't make sense for him to use 80 million to purchase it. However, other than Lin Ray, the others were all in an uproar. When they saw the long sword earlier, as well as the pills Lin Xian took out, the members of the 4 major guilds, sects, and royal clan were all staring at each other in shock. This was especially true for the Alchemy Guild and the Blacksmith Guild. They couldn't sit still any longer and wanted to ask about it. A top-grade divine artifact and a first-grade sacred grade healing pill. Tisk, the force behind this young lady is not to be underestimated. Even a disciple of hers is using a supreme-grade divine artifact and casually gave out 8 first-grade saint-grade elixirs. This kind of wealth is not simple. Lu Chengfeng clicked his tongue. Even his father, the current sect master of the Thousand Treasures sect, would not be able to do something like this, let alone him. Especially when it was 8 first-grade saint-grade healing pills for the 8 slaves he had just bought. This was even more impossible. As a gold-ranked auctioneer, Liao Chen's eyes were naturally sharp. With a single glance, he could tell the level of the item just now. Previously, he was being polite, but now, He was being respectful. He didn't want to offend this young lady who casually gave away a divine artifact and a first-grade saint grade healing pill. Miss, let's hurry up. We have just arrived at the Xianyuan Empire and should be biding our time. But now that we have appeared, I'm afraid we might be targeted by the major powers here. At this moment, the leader of the combat division, Zhuiyang, transmitted his voice to Lin Xian to remind her. MHM, I understand. Lin Xian didn't refute. She understood the meaning behind Zhuiyang's words. She turned and watched her 8 subordinates consume the healing pills. After which, she took out an interspatial ring and casually tossed it over to Liao Chun. There are 80 million saint crystals in here. I will be bringing these people away. After speaking, she didn't wait for Liao Chun's reply and turned to leave. As for the 8 subordinates she just bought, there were naturally people from the combat division guarding them. With them around, there was no need to be afraid that they would escape. However, at this moment, the smile on Lin Rei's face froze the instant he heard the number 80 million, as his heart convulsed. He felt dizzy. What did it mean by his heart was bleeding? What did it mean by having the urge to die? At this moment, Lin Rei felt both. 80 million, and you bought 8 people for me? How many of them are made of gold? Yeah, even if they were made of gold, they wouldn't be so expensive. When he thought of how his daughter spent 80 million to buy 8 slaves, Lin Rei's anger flared up. The auction didn't stop because of Lin Xian's appearance. Liao Chen's slaves pulled the attention of the crowd back as the auction resumed. However, at this moment, the attention of the major powers wasn't on the auction. Instead, they were focused on the power in the 16th room on the 3rd floor. Ding! Mission. Set up a shop to provide cultivation resources for your sect. Ding. Mission. Befriend Lu Chengfeng of the Myriad Treasure Sect and obtain 10,000 top-grade divine artifacts and 100 saint artifacts, unlimited grade. Lin Rei, who was still fuming, suddenly froze on the spot when the ice-cold robotic voice of the system rang out in his mind. He froze for a long time before he recovered from his daze. However, when he thought of the 2 missions earlier, Lin Rei was filled with doubt. Wanting him to set up a shop to provide cultivation resources for his sect, he could understand this. But befriend Lu Chengfeng of the Myriad Treasure Sect and obtain 10,000 top-grade divine artifacts and 100 saint artifacts? What kind of operation was this? Jia. The door to the room opened. Lin Rei was pulled back to reality by the sound of the door opening. Lin Xian walked in with the 8 slaves she just bought. Ah, father, you're awake? The moment they entered the room, the father and daughter looked at each other. Abruptly, Lin Xian spoke first. Father, look at the maids and servants I bought for you. Look at their looks. They're all top-notch. In the future, with them around, father, shouldn't you be able to enjoy life? After speaking, the smile on her face remained. She jogged to Lin Rei's back and began to massage his shoulders and back. Her appearance was extremely lovable. Looking at the smile on his daughter's face, Lin Rei couldn't open his mouth to reprimand his daughter, even if he wanted to. Feeling the comfortable feeling on his shoulders, Lin Rei bitterly smiled and shook his head. He truly had no way to reprimand this daughter of his. There was no other way. This matter could only be left unsettled. Now that he had brought the slaves back, he couldn't possibly ask for a refund, right? As he thought of this, his gaze landed on the 8 slaves. The bitter smile on his face instantly vanished as he spoke. For the 8 of you, 2 of you will follow me. The other 6 will follow my daughter. If you serve her well, when this lord is in a good mood, I might even grant you your freedom. But if I hear a single word of complaint from Xian, then all of you can go to hell. Chapter 1178. Lin Rei's killing intent towered up into the sky, flooding the entire room. In fact, the instant the killing intent appeared, the formations in the room instantly shattered under the pressure of Lin Rei's killing intent. Everyone present could sense the commotion in Lin Rei's room. Their gazes all landed on him. This killing intent was so terrifying that it caused them to be unable to breathe. They had never experienced such a level of killing intent before. What is this exactly? How could he possess such killing intent? How many people did he have to kill to be able to accumulate such killing intent? AI, seems like the Xinyuan Emperor Palace is no longer peaceful. With such a killing god here, chaos is sure to ensue. This killing intent. For a period of time, everyone was mumbling in their hearts. They were all shocked and didn't know what to do with the sudden appearance of the killing intent. The four major guilds, the sects, and the royal family felt even more uncomfortable when they felt this murderous aura. This was especially true for the royal family, who was the host of this event. Who would like to see such a powerful expert with such murderous aura appear in their territory? And at this moment, Lu Qingfeng only had a single thought in his heart, towards Lin Rei and the others. He could only befriend them and not make them his enemy. However, at this moment, in Lin Rei's room, other than Lin Xian, the 8 maids and servants were all suppressed by the towering killing intent emitted by Lin Rei to the point they couldn't breathe. All of them prostrated themselves on the ground, their bodies trembling. They didn't dare to lift their heads, fearing that if they did, their lives would be forfeit here. At this moment, they no longer had any thoughts of fleeing. They didn't dare and couldn't. "Dad, look at you, you frightened them." At the side, Lin Xian rolled her eyes as she stood in between Lin Rei and the servants. Lin Xian's actions caused Lin Rei to be dumbfounded. Could it be that he couldn't even teach someone a lesson now? As he thought of this, his heart was filled with anger. However, he had no choice. His daughter was in front of him. He couldn't possibly vent his anger on her. Exhaling a long breath, he calmed his agitated heart. "All right, all of you can stand up." "Yes, master." The 8 people responded and stood behind Lin Rei. They didn't say anything else. His gaze landed on Lin Xian. Staring at this daughter of his, Lin Rei helplessly shook his head and stood up. "Let's go. We can't stay here any longer." He knew that the array formation had been broken just now, so there was no point in doing this from the outside. Now, he had gotten what he wanted and what he didn't want. If he didn't leave, he was afraid that his silly daughter would squander all his money away. We're leaving now?" And with regards to Lin Li's intention to leave, Lin Xian was clearly unwilling. She frowned, and with an aggrieved expression on her face, she stretched out her hand and grabbed onto Lin Li's arm, preparing to act coquettishly. "Father, look, I haven't. Fine, you don't have to use this on me. This kind of trick is useless against me. Moreover, we're going to take a look at the central store later. Who knows, we might be able to clean up the central store today and open it for business." After speaking, he flung Lin Xian's hand away as he walked towards the exit. "I haven't had enough fun yet." Staring at the departing figure of her father, Lin Xian stomped her feet, wanting to finish what she wanted to say. But at this moment, Lin Rei's silhouette had already vanished from sight. With regards to this, Lin Xian helplessly lowered her head. She glanced at the 8 of them and waved her hands. "Let's go." After speaking, she led the 8 of them out of the room and chased after Lin Rei. The instant Lin Rei's silhouette appeared in the vision of the crowd, the gazes of everyone were all focused on him. Everyone was trying to probe Lin Rei's cultivation base. They really wanted to know what cultivation base this person had exactly, and even more so, what power did he belong to? But this caused everyone to be disappointed. They couldn't sense the slightest bit of spiritual qi from Lin Rei. Even for those at the same level as Lin Rei, they couldn't sense the slightest bit of spiritual qi from Lin Rei. The Lin Rei at this moment gave everyone the impression that he was an ordinary person, so ordinary that he couldn't be any more ordinary. How is this possible? Feng Miaoyan stared at Lin Rei, with disbelief written all over her face. She truly couldn't believe that such an outstanding woman actually had a mortal as her father. This thought also appeared in the minds of the others. They didn't believe that a woman with a cultivation base at the Divine Monarch realm would actually have a mortal as her father. "Father, wait for me." Just as Lin Rei descended to the first floor, Lin Xian and the 8 servants had already caught up to him. Let's leave quickly. He didn't turn back, nor did he stop. He directly walked out of the auction house and arrived at the bustling streets outside. At this moment, the sky was already bright. After spending an entire night in the auction house, it was just the right time to leave. Father, do you know the location of the central store? Seeing her father stopping, Lin Xian walked over and inquired. At this, honestly speaking, he really didn't know where the central store was. The reason why he left was because he didn't want to be treated like a monkey by the crowd. Another point was that he had already gotten what he wanted in this auction. He was not interested in anything else, so there was no need for him to stay. Seeing her father speaking so much, a smile appeared on Lin Xian's face as she continued, "See, since you don't know, why did you still walk so far away?" Lin Rei. At this moment, Lin Rei didn't want to say anything. Being despised by his own daughter was a very embarrassing thing. "This uncle, may I know how to get to the central store?" Understanding her father's current feelings, Lin Xian didn't say anything more. With a flash, he arrived at the top of the mountain and found a random passerby to ask. The central shop. Seeing such a beautiful young lady, the passerby was naturally happy to speak. He then turned around and pointed at a building sign in the distance. "Do you see the Alchemist Guild and the other 3 guilds?" As he spoke, Lin Xian nodded her head in a daze. The shop in the middle of the 4 guilds is the Central Chamber of Commerce. With that, he left. After receiving the information, Lin Xian stuck her tongue out at Lin Rei as she mischievously said, "Let's go, I'll bring you to the shop." After speaking, she brought the servant with her and slowly walked towards the direction where she had asked for directions. Staring at the departing back view, Lin Rei bitterly smiled and followed after her. At the Starcloud auction hall, after Lin Rei's departure, the auction continued. However, there was no longer any interest in the auction. In a room where the 10,000 Treasures Sect was located, Lu Qingfeng had completely lost all thoughts of participating in the auction. "Old Xiong, you can continue the auction here. I'll take my leave first." After speaking, he stood up and prepared to leave. Young master, are you going to—" Lu Qingfeng's sudden action caused Old Xiong to be somewhat confused. "I'm going to take a look at the new boss of the central store." After speaking, without waiting for Old Xiong to speak, Lu Qingfeng opened the door and left. Chapter 1179. Not long after Lu Qingfeng left, Feng Miaoyan also left the auction house, leaving the auction house behind. The direction they were heading in was basically the same direction that Lin Rei and the others had left in. In front of the central shop, Lin Rei and the others stood still and looked at the shop that had become their territory. It looked noble and generous and elegant. The thing that satisfied Lin Rei the most was the fact that this place was large enough. It was much larger than any of the 4 great guilds. Staring at the shop before her, Lin Xian was completely dumbfounded. Her eyes shone with stars, as though she wanted to rush in and experience it for herself. This caused Lin Rei, who was beside her, to feel somewhat helpless. Why did he feel that his daughter was so inexperienced? Could it be that our sect isn't as strong as this place? Whether it was the quality of the palace or the density of the Holy Spirit Qi, there was nothing in the sect that could compare to this place. Of course, Lin Rei only said this in his heart. On the surface, he smiled and pointed at the shop in front of him, saying, "If you want to go, then go. This place is already ours." Whoosh, a strong gust of wind blew past his ear. A black shadow flashed past his ear and rushed to the front. "However, Father, you want me to enter, but you have to open the door for me first." Lin Xian stopped in front of the door as she turned her head and spoke helplessly. "Lin Rei." He took a step forward and took out the key. Then, he placed the key into the box. Gotcha! The moment the key was put in, a strange sound came from the door. The tightly closed door opened under the gaze of Lin Rei and the others. Boom! At the instant the door opened, a dense surge of holy spiritual qi gushed out from the gaps of the door. The force was so great that Lin Xian couldn't even stand properly, and was sent flying by the holy spiritual chi. Go back. Beside her, Lin Ray reacted quickly. He naturally wouldn't allow his daughter to be in such a sorry state. His peak early stage Dao fruit cultivation base was instantly released. With a wave of his hand, the Holy Spirit Chi that had rushed out was instantly blocked by Lin Ray's cultivation base. As for his other hand, he placed it on Lin Xian Er's back as he channeled his pure Saint Spirit energy, causing Lin Xian who was originally retreating, to halt her steps. Phew! She stopped in her tracks. Thinking back to what had just happened, she still had lingering fear in her heart. She never thought that just the rich Saint Spiritual Chi would be able to put her in such a sorry state. From this, he could tell that her cultivation level was not high enough. Otherwise, she would not have been reduced to such a sorry state by a mere Saint Spiritual Chi. Are you all right? Are you scared? Raising his hand to suppress the Holy Spiritual Chi, he turned around and looked at his daughter who was lying under the blanket. He looked her up and down and found that she was not injured. Only then did he feel relieved. Retracting her thoughts, Lin Xian felt warmth in her heart when she saw the concern in her father's eyes. She stubbornly replied, "How can I be injured? I'm your daughter." As he spoke, he stepped forward. At this moment, the door was completely open, and the incident from before was no longer happening. In response, Lin Ray did not stop her and allowed her to do as she pleased. However, his divine sense never left her body. Now that he had just entered the central shop, he didn't know anything about this place. Who knew if his predecessor had left any traps or mechanisms here? I'll give you guys 4 hours. Use all your strength to investigate this place thoroughly and make a detailed copy of the map. After that, clean this place up and come see me. Swish, swish. As the sound of Lin Ray's voice faded, 20 silhouettes rushed out from the shadows and arrived before Lin Ray. They bowed respectfully before vanishing again. And this scene was coincidentally witnessed by Lu Chengfeng and the others who came from afar. Looking at the 20 silhouettes that suddenly appeared and disappeared, the two of them were stunned and didn't dare to take a step forward. This person is not simple. Just his followers are all at the God Emperor realm and above. With such a cultivation level, they could be considered as the cornerstone of our 10,000 treasures sect. I didn't expect that he would actually order these people to clean the place. Yeah, isn't my talisman association the same? Feng Miaoyan subconsciously replied to Lu Qingfeng's words. This time, she didn't retort but agreed with his words. TSK, not simple. Such a person can only be a friend, not an enemy. Even if we can't be friends, we shouldn't provoke such an existence. Lu Chengfeng looked at Feng Miaoyan and said, "Yeah, you're right. When we get back, I'll order all the disciples and elders of the Talisman Association not to make trouble here." As soon as the words came out, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. This meant that they agreed with each other. As for Lu Qingfeng and Feng Miaoyan, Lin Ray knew about them the moment they arrived. "Come out. Have we been discovered?" Hearing Lin Ray's words, the two of them looked at each other. "I don't think so. He doesn't have any cultivation level. How could he have discovered us?" Lu Chengfeng speculated. However, their conversation, in Lin Li's ears, was simply laughable. What do they mean by no cultivation? What do you mean by how could he have discovered us? Of course, how could he say that out loud? Seeing that they didn't intend to come out, Lin Ray looked at the place where Lu Chengfeng and Feng Miaoyan were hiding. He locked his eyes on them and said, "Come out, you two." Hearing this, Lu Chengfeng and Feng Miaoyan were sure that they had indeed been exposed. Thinking of this, they didn't hide anymore. Instead, they stepped out and walked toward Lin Ray. "Little brother, how should I address you?" Looking at Lin Ray, Lu Chengfeng cupped his hands as he walked. "Little brother?" Lin Ray looked at Lu Chengfeng in surprise. This little brother's son was really a little strange. Although he admitted that he was indeed a little young, being only over 4,000 years old. But, little brother, I have a question. Just now, we restrained our cultivation level and thought that we were hiding. How did you detect us? Feng Miaoyan asked with confusion. Little brother again. Do I look so young? Thinking of this, Lin Ray even reached out to touch his face. However, he didn't think that his face was small. He looked up at the two of them and said with a smile, "What brings you here?" Lin Ray didn't respond to Lu Chengfeng and Feng Miaoyan's questions. Instead, he said, "Hey, don't you have any manners? We asked you first, okay?" Feng Miaoyan, who had always been in a superior position, said unhappily when she saw that Lu Chengfeng had avoided her question and asked it first. F***CK, is this girl out of her mind? She just said that she should try not to offend Lu Chengfeng. How could she forget what she said in the blink of an eye? Of course, this was not his problem. After all, he wasn't the one who had offended Lin Ray. Lu Chengfeng chose to step aside when facing Feng Miaoyan, acting as if he didn't know her. Lin Ray smiled at this. He was somewhat interested in Lu Chengfeng's behavior. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.